was watching the chat before the live stream started, and I heard some people say that Miranda Devine was on Ingram and they were trashing Trump. I missed that. So if you saw Miranda Devine and Laura Ingram trashing Trump, give me a call on the air. I missed that, and I'm a big promoter of Miranda Devine. That book of hers is incredible. So if she's trashing Trump, I want to know. All right. Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday morning, March 28th, 2023. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 46 years on the radio this year. Welcome, everyone. And man, do we have a lot to talk about today. And there was a great interview with President Trump done by Sean Hannity last night. I got a couple clips from that, and we're going to talk about that. And some very important revelations came out of that. But I'm very confused, and I'm not joking. Okay, I this will sound like a joke and like I'm being funny. I'm not joking, and I'm not trolling for calls. You know, a lot of guys that do shows like this, they troll for calls. They say things, they ask questions, they know the answers to the questions, but they want people to call in and give them the answers and get through an hour. I don't do that. So when I ask this question, please excuse my ignorance. All right. And I do want to have a definitive answer to this question because the media have me incredibly confused, and it's been going on for about 15 hours. And I thought for sure when I woke up this morning, it would all be clarified. And what I'm talking about is this monster in Nashville that shot the little babies, 9-year-old kids, and the adults at the school. And this is what I'm not sure of. I know that this is a transgendered or was a transgendered person. Is this shooter in Nashville? I feel dumb asking you this because I should know the answer to this, but I imagine a lot of you are as confused as I am about this. And I'm not trying to make light of this tragedy because I think it's a very important aspect of the tragedy that has to be discussed. The shooter in Nashville, while we know they are transgender, were they born a boy and living as a woman, or were they born a girl and living as a boy? And I can't get it straight in my head. I thought I had it together. I thought I understood what was going on. But I've seen something with the coverage, and this goes for all the news coverage, even the conservative news coverage of this event in Nashville. Everyone is so politically correct I've never seen political correctness be doled out like this to a mass murderer, except 9/11. There was a lot of that after 9/11. But I want to know because I think it is important. And I've read all these stories, and every story I read, there's no answer. And and I want to ask you guys two questions. One, the Nashville monster, the Nashville shooter, were they born a girl and living as a boy, or born as a boy and living as a girl? That's one. And the second question, are you just as confused about this as I am? Yeah. I think everyone's confused. You know, the mayor of Nashville, I watched the press conference yesterday. He's a Democrat, and apparently his daddy was governor, his brother was in Congress. So here's another guy never earned or worked anything, another legacy. Yeah. But I watched the bizarre press conference of the Democrat Nashville mayor blaming guns. And he dropped something that was just so bizarre. This morning, I was in Boston watching my son play. And where's the relevance to that? It was so bizarre. But and then the police chief came out. And is it just me? I should not say this. I really should not say what I'm about to say because it's going to get me in trouble. Okay, but I'm going to say it. Are all police chiefs black in America now? Are there any white police chiefs? Every time there's an incident, the police chief is black, except for Scott Israel after Parkland. He's the exception to that. But I really want to get some answers on the birth gender of the Nashville monster. And I want to hear your thoughts. Are you as confused by this as I am? And this transgender thing that's going on in this country, I don't think all of a sudden we have all these transgender people. I just think it's a fad, like break dancing and parachute pants, right? I just think it's kind of a fad right now. In fact, I was reading an article this morning that the vast majority of people that are living a transgender life do not take any of the hormones or medications involved with that. So they're just, playing dress up. They're not like taking it further. The vast majority. I can't remember what the percentage was. It was like 80% or more are just, cross dressers technically because they're not taking any of the stuff. But yeah, I don't understand what's going on with this story. Now, so far as the political correctness that's going on, it seemed to me when I watched the press conference with the police chief and he didn't want to get into it, but it seems to me, and we've gotten very little information about this, but this seems to me to be a transgendered person committing a hate crime against a Christian church, a Christian school. I know they went to the school, but it seems that they were targeting the school in a hate crime type way. And of course, there are so many things involving this story that don't fit the media narrative. By the way, a lot of people are saying that the gun deaths is the leading cause of death among children. That is not true. Okay, Steve has an old saying that he uses that I think is a really good one. Figures don't lie, but liars can figure. You ever heard that? Figures don't lie, but liars can figure. Pretty good, huh? Yeah. And I heard the mayor say this every time there's a shooting when the Democrats, they say that gun deaths are the leading cause of death among children. That is not true. The leading cause of death among children is car accidents. And what the left do to, because liars can figure, to manipulate the statistics, they include 18 and 19-year-olds in the gun death statistics. And when they include 18 and 19-year-olds in gun death statistics, counting 18 and 19-year-olds as kids, then it's the number one. But if you go under 18, which is what children are, you're an adult at the age of 18, the leading cause of death is car accidents, not guns. And that's a fact. And it's a sad fact. I mean, it's all sad and, and it's a terrible thing. But we'll take our first break. And when we get back, I want to hear your thoughts on this about one, do you know whether or not this was a biological boy or girl? The media and their political correctness, what's going on with that? And a whole bunch of other things. I mean, and then we're going to get into the President Trump interview by Sean Hannity, which was really, really good. I watched it this morning, not last night. All right, we'll take our break and be back. Don't sit on the sidelines. Get into the action. Call the Steve King Show live on air now. 888-GO-K1. No, I'm serious, guys. I can't get a straight answer out of anything that's going on in the news on the shooting. Is it a biological boy? Biological? I don't know. And they really don't want to clarify it. They don't want to clarify it. Oh, now they're being so politically correct about this shooter. It's bizarre. Who are they worried about offending? My goodness. I'm curious how Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire handle this, because the Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, and all those people are all located in Nashville. Yeah, we're in the upside down world. Bizarre stuff, people. Very confusing. Oh boy, make sure you like the video, guys. Yeah, Candace Owens, they're all in Nashville. Michael Knowles, and they're all obsessed with transgender stuff over there. That's all they talk about at the Daily Wire. They're obsessed with it. I mean, I think I'm the first one that's really got the guts to ask the questions. Candace Owens trashes Trump. I don't love Candace Owens. No, you're all welcome to call in toll free 1-888-465-2631. Someone just texted me. They think Ben Shapiro moved to Florida. I thought he was still in Nashville. Ben Shapiro lives in South Florida now, it says. Oh, I just looked it up online. Wow. On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig. All right. My name is Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. So I'm asking these questions about the Nashville shooter, and I'm not trying to just fill up phone lines and be funny. I'm not. I know it sounds like I am, maybe, but I'm just... Is this a biological man or woman, this Nashville shooter? Why are the media being so politically correct? Is this a hate crime against Christians? These are all the things that no one's talking about. In fact, they're running away from the story because it doesn't fit the narrative. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, hey, this is Rip in Texas. Brian,
hey,
a long time.
How you doing?
Yeah, I have two things this morning. Of course, the heart just goes out for these terrible shootings that just seem to occur just ever since we lost Trump. Things have just gotten so much worse. People just seem to take shootings for granted. You wake up and here's a shooting. This thing here looks to me like this gal just had a seething hatred for straight people. That's just the way I see it. And she just, it just got to her. Maybe some people were making comments. And
yeah.
But here's what I don't get. This woman, was she a gun enthusiast? Was she a shooter all this time? Or did somebody just grab her and realize the mental patient and maybe, do one of these?
Well, they said that they said the police chief said that there were two AR-15 style weapons, they said, and those were legally purchased, I'm assuming, by the shooter. And you don't get on the list until you get arrested and commit a crime and are convicted of a felony and can't buy weapons anymore. I mean, but yeah.
It's not easy to pop off an AR-15 or.
Yeah, they got these video games. Well, is this a gal? Is this a biological man or woman? I'm serious.
She looked pretty feminine to me.
I don't know. I mean, am I the only one who's confused about that in the story?
No, I don't think so. I think everybody's wants a little bit more clarity on it.
I mean, how can we get any information on the shooting when they won't even tell us if it's a man or a woman? The media are so afraid that the trans community are going to think they're transphobic if they don't use the proper pronouns when talking about this shooter. They're confusing the viewers.
Oh, absolutely. And can I say one more thing before we be here? I normally don't watch Laura Ingham. I make it a point not to. But I watched her last night, and she had Miranda. That's that Miranda gal.
Miranda Devine.
That's the one, yeah. And I always liked Miranda until last night. Uh, Miller was on one side, Miranda was on the other, and you know who was in the middle. And she has just developed a strong hatred for Trump.
Miranda Devine?
Miranda, let me tell you what happened, because you didn't see it, but you might want to turn in. Miranda was on one side, Miller was on the other, she was in the middle. And Miranda just started chiming in. Says, I was disappointed with Trump's speech last night. And she just railed on him. I couldn't believe it. And then Laura in the middle let Miller talk, and Miller just went after Miranda. And Laura Ingraham in the middle was really getting upset because Miller was making good points. And it looked like her face was on fire.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you, Miranda Devine, Donald Trump has made her rich. That she's the author of Laptop from Hell, which I promote every day. And President Trump has been promoting Laptop from Hell since it came out. So, you know what? But she works for the New York Post. So I guess the Murdochs are whispering in her ear, making her hate on Trump.
And bought and paid for it because she was not. She's always, when she comes on Bannon's show, she's just in love with Trump, you know. But here she goes on this show, and I really thought she'd been more.
Well, what was she disappointed in as far as Trump's speech? Did she say
his mannerisms and the fact that
his mannerisms?
And he shouldn't be saying things about DeSantis, and he should be talking more about Biden. She hasn't listened to his any of his rallies.
Well, I got to tell you, Miranda Devine owes me and our radio station a lot of money. You know how many free plugs I've done for her book? I wonder how many books of Laptop from Hell she's sold, because I'm always promoting it here on the radio for free and on my YouTube channel, on my podcast. I will no longer be doing that.
And give her a piece of your mind. And hey, you're doing a great job, man. I got up here. This is Texas. We could be sawing wood right now. And I'm 82 years old, veteran. I got up because I wanted to get with you and tell you, how much I enjoy getting up for you.
Are you a Vietnam vet?
I was in Thailand for a while, and that was enough.
Okay, Ty. Well, you were close. So you're one of the Vietnam era veterans. Was it during Vietnam?
Oh yeah, I was 62, 68.
And you're how old now?
82.
I cannot believe how let me tell you, I cannot believe how old Vietnam veterans are now. These guys. I mean, because when I think of guys from that age, I'm thinking of young guys, I guess, because I grew up with my dad and everything. Vietnam vet. You guys are old now. I mean, I can't believe it.
I don't feel old. I still drag race, and I still love to look at good women, but. I mean, I'm old.
Can you do more than look? Can you still perform? All right, take care, man. Take care. I know. I couldn't resist. Yeah, I know. I cannot believe how old the Vietnam guys are now. They're ancient. Are there any Korean guys left around? Let's see here. Let's take some more calls. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Richie. I want to make this quick, Brian. The original thing that came on. The report was a woman, the LinkedIn account on her LinkedIn.
Yeah, I know. The LinkedIn account, not Lincoln account. LinkedIn, yeah.
It is. Yeah, she said that she was a biological woman, living as a man.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, this is a hate crime against religion. She went to that religious church and school, and she was probably a very confused woman, like all of them.
You think?
And I think the fact is that the hate built up, and in her head she couldn't cope with the fact that she was a mixed up person. Let me tell you something about the gay lesbian movement, okay? Because they all look at the history. There always was gay people. They had the feminine gay and they had the masculine gay, just like the marriage, like the Buddha wife.
By the way, gay, all lesbians are gay. Saying gay lesbian is like saying Jewish rabbi. All right. You don't have to say gay lesbian.
but they expanded it now because the ones that are sort of we call them butch. Those are the ones that say we're now a biological man because they can't accept the fact that they are a little.
Okay, so the shooter in Nashville was born a girl and is living as a man. Are you sure? Are you sure?
50%.
I don't know.
Backed off. The media backed off because you were right about this. It's not politically correct because AOC said all these mass murders happen to be an epidemic of white males.
Okay, so this, yeah, when I first heard the shooting, they said it was a female shooter. So you're telling me that the shooter was born female and was living as a guy.
And that's why they dropped it as a cookie. They didn't want to make
Yeah,
it.
next, exactly.
Yeah.
I remember, remember when they had, before they got the Boston bombers, they had a video of them because everyone thought that it was a Muslim terrorist attack, the Boston Marathon bombers. And before they got the guys, they had like a street camera. They identified them, and they showed the picture of the two Zarnev brothers. They sound like a trapeze act at the circus, the Zarnev brothers. And I remember the media and the cops in Boston were so excited that they thought they were two white guys and not Muslim. Remember that? They were almost cheering and high-fiving. Yes, they're whiteys! And then we find out they were Muslim. You know, I mean, it's, the way the media are with these crimes is just absurd.
Well, this is to protect the community. They want to. They've tried to normalize this. I don't know what you want to call it. This movement since its beginning. I mean,
well, because transgender people are saintly-like figures who do no wrong, right? Isn't that all? Isn't that the truth? Yeah.
Yeah. Really destroyed this country.
Yeah. Well, I got news for you. Go watch. There's two great movies: Psycho and Silence of the Lambs. Two movies that would not be made today. All right. Take care. All right. We'll take our break for the bottom of the hour and be back.
Making morning radio great again.
Oh, I've got something coming up. This is just, but I mean, don't you guys see how the media are being just so politically correct here? Is it bizarre? I mean, it's just insane. I've never seen anything like it. Yeah, the callers have been very good today. Very good callers today. Yeah, very bizarre. So born a girl, living as a boy. So I'm so confused. I'm like, my eyes are bleeding. I've got like a headache. So in the media reports, are they referring to the shooter as a he or a she in the media reports? Let me see. Let me go to CNN. By the way, yeah, Ben Shapiro moved to South Florida. Okay. Not a lot on the shooter. Okay. Yeah. So is the media, what pronouns are using? Because I'm seeing the last name used a lot, shooter used a lot. I'm not seeing like gender too much being used because the media, I don't know if the media are confused or they just don't want to promote it. They would never make Psycho or Silence of the Lambs today. It just wouldn't happen. Yeah, it's going to be gone. It's already fading away. It's not getting the same kind of coverage a shooting normally gets. They're already trying to disappear the story. Mm-hmm. Everyone's confused. Yeah. Yeah. But when somebody that's in one of the liberal victim classes that are in vogue at that particular time, when there's a crime like this, the media don't want to promote it. I mean, even if you remember, I'll talk about it when I get back. I can't share everything during the break that I'm going to share on the air. I'll just be repeating myself to you all. By the way, if you want to support the show, go to mypillow.com and buy something with my promo code Kane. It's a great way to support all my content, Kane. And the MyPillow 2.0, which is so popular, I know a lot of you guys have it, is buy one, get one free. It's the pillow with the cooling technology. It's buy one, get one free with my promo code Kane, Kane. If you're watching the live stream, I pinned the link in the chat, and the My Pillow link is in the description if you're not watching live, but it's Kane at checkout. Buy one, get one free with the My Pillow 2.0. Pretty good deal. I bought 4 of them. That's right. And I love it. It's a great pillow. I didn't think he could improve on perfection, but he did. Born a girl, living. Okay. Well, the picture with the tie, that kind of, you know who that looks like to me? Remind me of, oh, what's the actress's name from the 70s, big in the 70s? Who's the actress that played Michael's wife in The Godfather? What's her name? Diane Keaton. She kind of dressed like Diane Keaton with the fat tie picture. Yes. All right, we're coming back. All right, coming back.
Back to the Steve Kane Show, celebrating 40.
All right, we are back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. We're talking about the Nashville shooter. And I was reading through some of the stories during the break, and they're not using pronouns. The shooter, the Nashville shooter, sometimes the last name. So I don't know if the media is covering up or if they're just confused like I am. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. How you doing? This is Maria from Florida.
Hey, Maria.
Yeah, the woman that did the shooting, supposed to be a woman that did the shooting yesterday. She was born as a woman, but she changed into being a man. She had everything changed, and she was going to school, and whatever issues she had with the school, which everyone know what it is, she doesn't like religion. She doesn't like religion. That's what her makeup, and she set the whole thing up.
You know, I went to high school. I didn't know it, but I went to high school with a transgendered person. And I remember this was before I was married. Okay. And I was out with some friends at a bar, and this girl kept staring at me, kind of weird looking girl. And I had no idea who this was. And with a black girl in a mini skirt. And all my friends are like, who's this black girl? Keep staring at. I said, I have no idea. And it was this guy that I went to high school with. He was living as a girl. And I know I was in shock. I was in shock, you know. Yeah, I know. It was a little weird, but he didn't go shoot the school up, you know. And they were gay and all that stuff back then. You know, I always kind of knew they were on the, you know, playing for the other team, but you know, come on. You know, I think the media are confusing people on purpose because they don't want to promote anything negative about transgender people right now.
Yeah, yeah, they was because it started around about 10, I think 10 or 10:30, and they went on for about, I think the video went on for about until 12 o'clock until the police really reported what's really going on and what happened and what's about, and even the police said it's a hate crime against religion. And
Yeah.
and any two times you see a shooting like that, you can't mix that up. It's always the same reason. And
Well, first off, I mean, I don't know what the highest grade was at this school because sometimes with private schools, they can be small and have a lot of grades. But 9-year-old little babies were murdered by this monster yesterday. You know, you can't tell me that the cross-dressing transgender thing did not play a role in this.
yeah, they really tried. But I was listening to Trump interview because he had the interview at Mar-a-Lago, and the interview didn't have no problem. But however they do it, they bring a producer there or whatever to have the. And I heard all his speeches, and he did not really go at Ron DeSantis. He just pointed out the things that he's seen that Ron DeSantis was doing
Yeah,
that
that is
made
weird.
him call Ron DeSantis out. And he said the guy betrayed him and he betrayed my supporters, and that's the reason why I had to call him out. But he said that when he went on doing interviews, saying stuff about him really bad, like with the virus and stuff like that,
Yeah.
that what really made him angry. But Laura, when she opened up her show, oh my God, I never seen these people act like that, but I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
It's like they had to do equal time because, you know, Hannity had a beautiful interview with Donald Trump. And I watched it this morning. It was very, very good. And it's like they had to do equal time. Okay, we had this interview with Trump. It was a beautiful interview. So now we got to spend the next hour trashing the guy on Laura Ingraham. Let me tell you about Laura Ingraham. A lot of people don't know this about Laura Ingraham. She's in with the Lincoln Project people. She started out in Washington, making it big during the Clinton years with George Conway and that crew. So that's where her background is. People don't know that. That's why she's on TV. She's not that good. She wasn't that good on the radio either. And I find her rather annoying and rather shrieking and hysterical a lot of times. I don't enjoy Laura Ingraham. I'm not interested in what she has to say. She doesn't look good on TV either. But I've never really cared for her show. When she was on the radio, I thought it was unlistenable. That's just my opinion, you know. And I think she's on there because of her uniparty, Paul Ryan, George Conway, Lincoln Project contacts. It's probably. But I've got an audio clip that I came across yesterday of Governor DeSantis that's going to shock you when you hear this. I'm going to play it after the next break. You're going to be. I'm telling you, I'm going to play it after the next break. You guys are going to be shocked. I'm telling you. Hey, take care. Thanks, Maria. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. Good morning. This is Nick.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, I wanted to bring something up here about this shooting in Nashville. I don't know whether you touched on it. I just thought of it, and that is that 2 weeks ago when Jane Fonda was on The View, and she said someone ought to shoot up all these pro-life Christian.
Kill them. She said murder them. Yeah, kill them. Yeah, we shoot down.
But now we have this happen. I mean, I'm not, I'm just saying,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They want to arrest Trump, but they don't arrest these people, do they?
Yeah, Jane Fonda should be in prison for the treason she committed in Vietnam. I mean, you know, I know that a lot of people say that was a long time ago. I wouldn't sit there in polite company with Jane Fonda. People, you know, she gave hope to the enemy. She betrayed our country, and she's a disgusting person. You know, when I when I was in college, I took a psychology class in college, and they brought in, there was a PhD student who did a whole profile on the Fonda family, the whole Fonda family, and that family has a history of mental illness, and there's a lot of suicides in that family. The Fonda family, they're a bunch of yeah, they were so bad that this PhD student, they came to my class to talk. Did it? They were doing their dissertation on the mental illness on the Fonda family. Yeah,
That's something I didn't know.
yeah.
They were leftists. I know Henry Fonda was a leftist. They were all leftists.
Henry Fonda is probably one of the most overrated actors in the history of Hollywood. He's terminally boring. Anything Henry Fonda is in will put you to sleep. And, there was a story, I haven't talked about Fonda in a long time, Jane Fonda, but she visited the Hanoi Hilton, right? And there was a story that came out about 15 or so years ago when she visited the Hanoi Hilton, which, for you youngins out there, that was the name of the North Vietnamese prison camp where they kept John McCain and many of our prisoners of war. That the prisoners slipped their social security numbers to Jane Fonda. She was a famous actress when she visited, so that she could bring them back home so people would know they were alive. And a story, I don't have this verified, and it's been a long time, but a story came out, like I say, about 15 or so years ago, that she gave those social security numbers to the camp commandant, and they got tortured because of that. You've heard that story too?
Hmm?
I mean, that's enough. She should have her citizenship revoked and be forced to live abroad. If that story is true, that's worse than John Kerry's testimony to Congress calling them war criminals.
And you're right. She should be charged with treason. But I just thought of that.
No, I think that's a good connection, Nick. I'm glad you brought it up. I just want to say one last thing though, because you reminded me. John, we had a guy when John Kerry was running for president. We had a guy who was a prisoner of war in Vietnam. He had done a couple of tours, and he went back as a civilian contractor, which probably meant he was CIA, and he got captured. And he was in a prison camp, and they were torturing him to get him to sign the confession. And he told us on the air that when the North Vietnamese were torturing him and trying to get him to sign that confession, they were playing John Kerry's testimony to Congress, calling them war criminals to him in that camp, and said, your own guys have even abandoned you. And they played John. Now, he didn't know who John Kerry was then. It was many years later when John Kerry became a senator and famous that he had like flashbacks to it. So John Kerry and Jane Fonda should both be in prison. They're both traitors. And you're right. And I'm glad you reminded me. Maybe I'll dig that audio out from The View. I remember playing that on the air and talking about it at the time. I may have it still. All right, Nick, take care. All right, we'll take our last break of the first hour and be back.
The cold, hard.
Yeah, I played that on the Jane Fonda thing. I played on the podcast. Was that last week? When was that on? I know I played that on the podcast. I just can't remember when it was. I'll look for it through the show if I can find it, because I know I had that. I'm looking for that Jane Fonda audio. Oh, I know I played it.
buying new tires because you thought they were too expensive? Find friendly prices at Friendly Tire in Margate on both new and used tires. New tires as low as $70 a tire.
CNN's updates back to back to back of female shooter shot 3 children and 3 adults in Nashville school. Police identify the victims, and then the 28-year-old who killed 6. So it's like, went from female shooter to just shooter, and again they just keep saying elementary school.
Yeah, they're being vague about it.
We gave a few key words there.
Agency over our body.
Yeah. Okay. I found the Fonda clip.
We take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now, the Steve King Show is on the...
All right. I found the Jane Fonda clip that Nick talked about. So I'm going to play that before the shocking Ron DeSantis audio I have. But I first want to tell you about the Duro River cruise through Portugal's wine country coming up on August 23rd through the 2nd of September. The countdown has begun. It's the 28th of March. If you book by March 31st, just a couple days from now, round-trip airfare to Lisbon from wherever you're flying there from in the United States is included, as well as high-speed rail transportation from Lisbon to Porto, where the riverboat is waiting, okay? And those two things, free round-trip airfare to Lisbon, the capital of Portugal, and the high-speed rail from Lisbon to the boat in Porto, you've got to book by March 31st to get that included, all right? Now, Porto, where the cruise begins, is where, of course, Porto is where all the best port wines come from. Porto is Spanish for port. Yeah, that's right. Now, this is a wine sampling tour through the beautiful vineyards down the Duro River that are on the banks of the river. And I've been telling you guys, the dates that we've chosen for this is not an accident. These aren't just random dates. August 23rd through September 2nd. This is when the grapes are on the vines and they're ripe. This is when the picking is happening to make the wine. You can take the grapes off the vine and eat them, maybe even take part in making wines. And there are also culinary events with chefs along the way. This is a first-class cruise all the way. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and tips is included. Request a brochure at brianportugal.com. Okay, when you go to brianportugal.com, on the left side of the screen, it says request a brochure. Click that. You'll get the brochure. It'll give you all the information. brianportugal.com. Go there right now, brianportugal.com, and request a brochure. All right, so this is the Jane Fonda clip that Nick from Baltimore was talking about, and she was on The View with Lily Tomlin. And she was promoting violence against Christians and violence against conservatives. They were talking about abortion. Here we go.
We have experienced many decades now of having agency over our body, of being able to determine when and how many children to have. We know what that feels like. We know what that's done for our lives. We're not going back. I don't care what the laws are. We're not going back.
That's the activist. That's Jane speaking, and she probably will get a Nobel Prize.
But it's the truth. It is the truth. I'm not going to do it.
Besides marching and protesting, what else do you suggest?
Okay, she just said, what else? That was Joy Behar says to Jane, what else do you suggest? And Jane Fonda says, well, murder. And now they try to do damage control on The View.
Marching and protesting, what else do you suggest?
Well, it's not murder overnight. It's not a miraculous.
What did you say?
Murder.
She's just kidding.
Don't say that. That's
You don't know. They'll pick up on that. And
Yeah, that's the word.
She's just kidding. It's
Yeah. She's just kidding. Well, a leftist just murdered children, murdered babies. Okay, so words have consequences. All right, now. Thanks, Nick, for the reminder. It was a couple weeks ago. I'd forgotten about it. I came across a piece of audio on Governor DeSantis that will shock you. Shock you. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm going to play it for you. And boy, oh boy, this is a big one. And it's the first clip you will hear. It's a montage. the first clip you will hear is when Governor DeSantis was running for governor the first time. Okay. And this is some shocking stuff. Turn your radios up a little bit. I know it's early. Turn your radios up loud for this one. And this is really very revealing about Governor Ron DeSantis. Trump again, proven right. Listen.
Human activity and the changing climate, maybe it's not, I don't know, but what I do know is I see the sea rising. I see the increased flooding in South Florida.
Okay. Wow. So, and this is just the beginning. So the liberals are talking about sea levels rising in Florida, people seeing this. Well, Florida is a peninsula. The sea levels are not rising. I've lived in Florida. I don't know what year Ron DeSantis was born, but I may have been in Florida longer than Ron DeSantis. Okay. Or at least about the same time, but I was coherent many years before him because I'm older. The seas are not rising. And I did a YouTube video on this. There is, those of you that are longtime listeners have heard me use this. There is a science, this will sound ridiculous, but it's so true. There is a scientific measurement that I use that show that the sea levels are not rising in Florida. Okay. And I've talked about this for many years, and I made a YouTube video showing this, and I think I might do an update on it because it's back. Fort Lauderdale is where I grew up. I love Fort Lauderdale. My mother still lives in Fort Lauderdale in the house that I grew up in. I love Fort Lauderdale. I go there all the time. In fact, I'm going to be there later this week, and I love Fort Lauderdale. And I'm of the opinion that Fort Lauderdale Beach is the greatest beach in Florida. In fact, in the whole Caribbean area, because I've been all over the Caribbean, it's the best beach in this part of the world. And I love Fort Lauderdale. And growing up, I always watched a movie because it was filmed in Fort Lauderdale, 1960s, Where the Boys Are. Any of you guys watch Where the Boys Are? I know you have. You true oldies listeners have watched Where the Boys Are, right? I love Where the Boys Are. It's a very popular movie. And Where the Boys Are was filmed in Fort Lauderdale. Much of it was filmed in front of the world-famous Elbow Room on Las Olas Boulevard in A1A. And Where the Boys Are was filmed how many years ago now? 53 years ago. That came out in theaters, 1960. So it may have been filmed in 59, but it's at least 63 years ago, maybe 64, but we'll just give out the theatrical release. If you go to Where the Boys Are, which was over half a century ago, and you see it begins with aerial views, but many of the scenes take place with them crossing the street at the Elbow Room at Las Olas and A1A. When they're all those street scenes where there's a crowd and you can't see the beach and you can't see the street, that's in front of the Elbow Room. That's Las Olas Boulevard and A1A, 1960. And the Elbow Room in A1A in 1960, 63 years ago, is in the same exact spot as it's in today. And if you look at the beach in the movie Where the Boys Are, for the beautiful Fort Lauderdale beach, including they show Bahia Mar, but they show the beach in front of the Elbow Room. The beach and the ocean are in the same place in 1960 as they are today. I did a YouTube video on this. I was down there filming it with my MAGA hat on, and a tolerant liberal came down and gave me the middle finger. If you've seen the video, you may remember that. And I went through, I'm going to do an update on this. I went through scenes from the movie and showed where they are today, which is hard to do if you didn't grow up in Fort Lauderdale. But when I was younger on Fort Lauderdale Beach, those buildings in the movie that are like empty parks and parking lots now were there. So I know the whole area. The sea levels are not rising in Florida. Okay. The reason that began is because Obama started giving money to people, to cities, to states, to governments around the country to do things to combat climate change. And down in Miami, in the Miami Beach area, I can't remember exactly which city it was down there, but in the Miami Beach area, I was down in Miami, and they were talking about sea levels rising in Miami Beach. I was watching MS. Oh, everybody in Miami knows the sea levels. Everybody in Florida knows the sea levels are rising. Right? Okay, right. Where the boys are, it's not happening. So, by the way, and you can look at Miami Beach. Go watch Miami Vice. there's many episodes that take place, and that's 1983 and 1984 in front of that big clock on South Beach before it got all fixed up. And the beach is there. Go watch Scarface. The chainsaws. There's great scenes down there. You see and that was like 40 years ago, right? So there's all kinds of evidence showing that the sea levels aren't rising that are documented historical records, right? Where the Boys Are, Miami Vice, Scarface. And those are great measurements that the sea levels are not rising in the state of Florida. But anyway, what they were doing, Obama was giving money to cities and states to do things to combat climate change. So I was I was down, and when this whole thing was talking, everybody in Florida knows the sea levels are rising. I was down in Miami with my wife, and they were building a new sidewalk. And it's completed now, and it's quite beautiful, but it's an unusual sidewalk. It's 3-4 feet above the street. You guys know what I'm talking about? It's about three feet at least, maybe 4 feet, but I saw them building it, and it was more obvious during the construction. It's 3 feet above the street. So, yeah. So they got money from Obama to build this beautiful new sidewalk. It's gorgeous. You walk down there. I was down there when they had the building collapse. I went and made a YouTube video going to the building collapse, and I was walking on the raised sidewalk. They got Obama to give them, I don't know how many millions, tens of millions to build a new sidewalk. As long as it was to combat climate change, they had to build it 3 feet above the ground, because by the year 2022, which we're beyond, the sea levels are going to rise. So you'll be walking above the water then. So that's where all this thing about sea levels rising in Florida came from. Okay, was for this racket to get the raised sidewalks built. It's such a joke. Okay, but that's just the beginning of the DeSantis clip. But let me take a call or two, then I'll play the rest of the very shocking Ron DeSantis audio that I discovered yesterday. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Rob from California.
Hey, Rob.
I got a quick question for you. I heard you talk about Miranda Devine and Law of England. Did someone already answer your question about that?
Someone told me that they were bashing Trump. They were vague about it, though. I didn't get very many. They didn't. Miranda Devine didn't like his speech in Waco. How did Miranda Devine watch it? Fox News didn't carry the speech. How'd she watch it? She must have been watching Newsmax or Right Side Broadcasting.
Oh my God, a competitor! Oh my God.
Well, it wasn't on Fox. It wasn't on Fox. She could have been watching it on Fox.
Well, anyway, I happen to have it on DVR. So
so I can fly out to California and watch it at your house. Oh, okay, I'll do that. All right, thanks for the call. Yeah, book me an airline flight. Will the radio station private jet take me? Nice guy. Thanks for the call. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. We're coming up on the top of the hour. When we get back, I'll take some more calls, and I'll play the rest of this shocking as well as revealing audio of Ron DeSantis. Here he is. He says the sea levels are rising around Florida. Climate change is real, DeSantis said. Oh, my goodness. Oh, man. All right, it's 7 a.m. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show, celebrating 46 years on the radio. Back after this.
WWNN Pompano Beach, WIR.
Oh, man. Guys, make sure you like the video. There's over 1,000 people watching live. Only a handful of you have liked the video, so like the video. Yeah, you go down, like I'm standing on the ground, right? And like the sidewalks like this high down there. They got their climate change Obama raised sidewalks. They're beautiful, and it's a great walkway, you know. It's very nice, but that's where all that came from. A couple people DM me about my shirt. This is a Star Wars Hawaiian shirt. You can see it up close, see? Got all kinds of things. For the original trilogy, none of that new crap. You know, Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi. I don't think any of the prequels are even on here. Yeah, well, I won't be promoting Miranda Devine's book. I wonder how much money Donald Trump and myself have made for Miranda Devine promoting that book of hers, right? Gee whiz. Break. Oh, man. Welcome, everyone. If you're new, subscribe and like the video. This is the most pro-Donald Trump MAGA channel on all of YouTube.
Traffic service of Palm Beach.
Well, hopefully Wookies is watching. If he's watching, we're all wishing you well, Wookies. The Trump rally was amazing. That was an absolutely phenomenal speech he gave, and it was a great rally. The whole thing, from the beginning with the woman with the painting to President Trump and the J6 choir to the very end. I know I'm going to get to Kill Meat too. I talked about Kill Meat on the podcast last night. Oh, he was just in? Oh, great. I missed it. I'm sorry. Hey, Wookiees, welcome. Glad you're feeling better. At least you're well enough to pop in and say hello. Oh, man. Kilmeade. I don't know. Kilmeade, I'm not a big fan of Kilmeade. He sweats a lot. And he's too into sports for a guy that doesn't play anything. I find his obsession with athletes just a little odd, And he thinks every show should be him. Miranda Devine was trashing Trump on Laura Ingraham, according to our spy reports on the phones. Yeah. Oh, he was very energized. That's not true. He was just serious. You confuse his seriousness and his concern as low energy. No. He was very high energy. He looked great. He was just had a more serious tone because there was a lot of serious things going on. Oh, he looked awesome. He looks younger than me. And he's a lot older than me. He's like 30 years older than me almost. Not quite 30, but. Yeah, but where the boys are is, to me, is the perfect thing. I've got to go to Fort Lauderdale on Friday. And spring break is over. So I'm getting the MAGA scooter fixed, which broke down a couple weekends ago when those guys tried to rob me. So it's getting fixed down in Fort Lauderdale. So I got to go to Fort Lauderdale and pick it up Friday and then ride it home. So maybe I'll go and update my Where the Boys Are Fort Lauderdale Beach proof that the sea levels are not rising around Florida on Friday. Sound like a good idea to you guys? All right. Welcome back, one and all. Hour number 2 has begun. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Call us on hold. Stand by. We've covered a lot. There's a lot of confusion as to the birth gender of the Nashville shooter. We're trying to clarify that. The media are trying to disappear that story because the shooter doesn't fit their narrative. A transgendered person born female, 2 groups they don't want to say anything negative about. And this chilling audio that I found of Governor Ron DeSantis, I only played the first couple seconds. There's more. let's take some calls first. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Andrea.
Hey, Andrea.
I'm curious to hear Ron DeSantis' clarification about climate change.
There's no clarification. There's no clarification.
I'm in my mid-50s, and let me tell you how many quote-unquote tragedies I've lived through. When I was in high school, we used to get a lot of snow. It was global cooling. Then it was the African killer bees that were going to come over and destroy everything. Then it was the 80s, and it was global warming. Then it was Y2K when...
Oh, you skipped over a couple. You forgot a couple. Remember acid rain? Acid rain? Okay. And acid rain, remember acid rain? There was a whole episode of Different Strokes on acid rain. Kimberly, Dana Plato, washed her hair with rainwater and it turned, I don't know, did it turn green or purple from acid rain? And you also left out another one. An area of the rainforest which provides all the, this was big in the 80s. They used to brainwash us with this when I was in high school. A section of the rainforest each day which provides all the oxygen that we breathe on Earth. An area the size of Rhode Island, the smallest state in the Union, is being chopped down. And by the year 2000, we're not going to have air to breathe. Remember that one?
Well, yeah, I do not remember that one. That did not come.
Okay, and there's one more. I thought you were going to say heroin. Oh, well, that was another one. Hairspray. Hairspray was big in this. Yeah, okay, that's another one. Hairspray was big in the 70s and 80s, right? All the girls I went out with, their hair was like 3 feet high. And hairspray. There was an episode of All in the Family with Gloria and Meathead about this. Hairspray was going to destroy the Earth and radiate the Earth because hairspray in aerosol cans was causing the hole in the ozone layer to grow, which was allowing solar radiation on the Earth, and we were all going to be radiated by the year 2000. And what they found out is that lightning makes ozone, and there's always been a hole in the ozone layer, but that's the purpose of lightning in God's green earth, is to create ozone. But anyway, yeah, there were all these scares. Y2K, the planes were going to fall out of the sky. Yeah.
Yeah, and none of them happened. And this is how you know climate change is nothing but a farce. Any prospectus for beachfront properties that a bank is going to lend money to would have climate change in it, and none of them do.
That is true. That is true.
That's how you know it's a hoax. But oh my God, that made me laugh. I don't laugh that hard in a while.
You know what I call those? I call those liberal urban legends. But if anybody can remember any of the other deadly things that were going to kill us, let me know. Take care. In fact, they used to talk about global cooling, and when I was a kid in the 70s, and there was an episode of In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy all about the coming ice age, and they interviewed climate scientists of the day from 1978. And by the year 2000, everything was by the year 2000. There's a theme, you notice that, by the year 2000. By the year 2000, the temperature of the Earth is going to cool to a point where we'll be in a new ice age. Of course, none of these liberal predictions happened. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Lisa, and I've got just a couple of things I wanted to touch on. But somebody brought up the Jane Fonda thing there, and then you played that tape again. Well, my ex-father-in-law was pilot in the Navy and was supposed to fly one of the planes that went down in Vietnam, but they changed him at the last minute, and his friend got put in. And his friend was the pilot who blinked SOS to everybody.
Oh, wow. Yeah, absolutely.
That was my father-in-law's buddy. And there were several POWs of that time period that he knew that when Jane Fonda came over there, like you said, after she left, when she was in the room with the POWs, she eviscerated them for what they were doing. She she, put them down, and
Yeah.
it was horrible. It was horrible. Not only that, but John McCain, who was in that,
Yeah.
so and he was an officer, right?
Lieutenant Commander.
Yeah, they did torture him mercilessly.
Well, no, okay, that's not okay. I met John McCain many years ago before I knew what a snake he was at the Republican National Convention, and his arms were very damaged where he couldn't, you know how you take pictures and guys put their arms around each other. He couldn't put his arm around me because his arms. That injury happened in his crash. And if you see the film of John McCain right after his crash, he's in cast, and they set his arms wrong, and when the bones grew back, they were kind of like he was holding a box. So those things with the arm was not from the torture; that was from his crash. He made people. He spent his whole life making people think it was from the torture, but it was from his crash. Yes.
Well, I stand corrected, but the one thing you never heard him talk about was the nickname the prisoners gave him. And his nickname was Songbird, because if anybody talked about escape or trying to overpower the guards or doing anything, he would rat them out.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Songbird McCain. And his father was an admiral at the time, and he got special treatment in the Hanoi Hilton. But have you heard the story? Nick remembered it when I was talking to him in the last hour, that the POWs gave their social security numbers to Jane Fonda, and she gave them to the camp commandant, and they got tortured after she left. She ratted them out.
I did not hear that. I did not hear about that one, but because my father-in-law was very reticent to talk about very much. I mean, it really, he only referred to her in a one-word thing.
Oh yeah.
She's
a terrible person. Jane Fonda is a terrible, terrible person.
Yes, she is. Now, also, I wanted to tell you about the interview, because I was trying to watch the Trump interview with Hannity, but I'd been up since 2:30 that morning, so I was dozing off right at the end, and I woke up during the Ingram thing with Miranda and Stephen Miller. And Miranda, when I woke up, she was bitching and moaning, excuse my French, about Trump picking on DeSantis.
Oh, my goodness.
For an endorsement. That's what she was moaning about. She said Trump is turning people off with talking about DeSantis begging him for an endorsement. And let me tell you what, Steve Miller got in there and started talking about, she goes, that's all he's talking about. And he goes, no, it is not. And he started naming off a litany of all of the things that Trump is putting forth in his propositions, on his next run. They're trying to interrupt him. They kept trying to interrupt.
Well, Lincoln Project, Laura Ingraham, I get, but Miranda Devine, and I'm serious. I know. I mean, you guys listening to this program, how many of you have bought Miranda Devine's book because I've talked about it and promoted, in particular, the audiobook I've been telling people to get, and President Trump? I'm going to talk to the radio station sales department today. Maybe we'll send her an invoice for all the radio commercials I've done. And I promise you, she's made a lot of money on that book because Donald Trump has been promoting it too. And it's a good book, but don't buy it now. Don't buy it.
You what? The look on her
and Laura, I like that.
Face
That's awesome.
Was so both of them were livid, and Stephen Miller he just kept on. He wouldn't let them interrupt. He would not allow them to interrupt, and his tenacity was just marvelous.
Stephen Miller is one of the best debaters I've ever seen because he's so mild-mannered, and he doesn't talk a lot, and he talks softly, but the little bit he does talk, he says a lot. I mean, I wouldn't want to debate Stephen Miller. He's one of the best debaters I've ever seen. Hey, listen, I got to run, Lisa. Take care. We'll be right back.
Don't sit on the sidelines. Get in on the action.
Oh, my goodness. Great calls today.
This is the Steve K Show with Brian Craig on Oldies 95.9.
Really good calls today.
Hello, this is Mike at Friendly Tire. I've been in business for 30 years at the same location and offering great deals on new and used tires. I have many suppliers. Whatever car or truck you have, I get you incredible deals on any tire. I also do tire repairs at very low prices. Give me a call. My number is 954-977-9445. I will give you a price over the phone on new and used tires. Again, my number is 954-977-9445. Thank you.
Here's how we long for Skechers hands-free slip-in footwear.
The rule has gone hands-free. However,
Oh.
if you want to put on a pair of sneakers, you still need to bend down and help your feet in. Until now, introducing Skechers hands-free slip-in footwear.
Oh, Stephen Miller's awesome. He's one of my favorite people that Trump has had work for him. The other, my really favorite is oh shoot, I just forgot his name. The gay guy, the gay guy. What's his name? I just forgot his name. He's the best. Yeah, Miller's awesome. Grinnell, Rick Grinnell. Yeah, Rick Grinnell's awesome too. The gay guy. Rick Grinnell is amazing. He is so brilliant. Rick Grinnell would be a great, like, in Trump's second administration, CIA director or something, wouldn't he? Oh my goodness.
When you list your property with Elena Castro, she knows the right listing price to get you multiple offers.
Cash Patel's good, but Rick Grinnell and Stephen Miller are amazing.
954-478-5015. 954-478-5015. Need your house listed and sold.
Grinnell could be Secretary of State for Trump's second term.
954-478-5015.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig.
All right, welcome back. You know, today's Tuesday, and at Anne Marie's Italian restaurant in Pompano on Tuesdays, kids eat free between 2 and 6 with the purchase of an entree by the parents. So that's a good deal. That's today. So your kids, your grandkids, your friends' kids, tell them all between 2 and 6. And that's time because you can pick the kids up at school and go have an early dinner or something, right? We like the early birds ourselves, but between 2 and 6, kids eat free with the purchase of an entree by the parents at Anne Marie's. So tell all of your friends that have kids. You know, people are trying to look for ways to save money, and food prices are in just out of this world, insanely high. You know, my wife, she wants to make brownies and she doesn't have eggs. She didn't buy eggs. And she wants me to go and buy eggs today. So I'm going to pick up eggs on the way home. And I'm going to take note at the price of eggs. Because from what I understand, buying eggs is like buying Kobe beef now, right? So if you're looking for a way to save, a great way to save is to go to Anne Marie's, where your kids can eat free between 2 and 6 on Tuesday with the purchase of an entree by the parents. And of course, all the portions are huge and everything's homemade with grandma's recipes. As always, it's just a spectacular place to go. And this is something they're doing for the community. Anne Marie's is located in Pompano on the northwest corner of US 1, Federal Highway, and Copans Road in the same plaza as the movie theater. When you stop in, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the radio. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. My name is Matt. I'm from West Palm Beach.
Hey, Matt, what's up?
I wanted to comment on this global change stuff. You remember 9/11? They grounded all the air traffic, I think, for 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
When that occurred. The temperature of the Earth went down 1 degree, which is huge.
Says who? I've never heard that before.
Yeah, I don't know if you can Google it and find it, but I had heard that.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah. But anyway, so the thought is, in my head, a car in a year produces 4.6 metric tons of, air pollution.
Okay.
One 400-mile flight of a 747 produces 33 metric tons.
Uh-huh.
So it's not hard to imagine that the jets, I think, are really impacting our climate much than
Yeah. So, okay, couple things about this. Okay. When astronauts are in space at the space station, or they're up in a spaceship orbiting the Earth on SpaceX, and they look down at the Earth, what do you see?
I don't know. They probably see jets flying around the planet.
No, you don't. I know you see blue and green and a little brown over the deserts. You know, you don't see you don't see overpopulation. You don't see any of these things. But during the lockdowns and shutdowns, see, I don't buy your story that the temperatures went down over 4 days. That's just a joke. But over the lockdowns and shutdowns, the entire planet was shut down for the better part of a year. Why was the global warming scam? Why did all the global warming climate change not resolve itself over a year where the entire planet was shut down so much that even in Venice, the waters of the canals turned blue?
Wow. Well, that's true. I mean, it's hard to.
Well, no, I know it's true, but you said that on 9/11, when by the way, they didn't ground worldwide, they grounded over the United States, and there were still jets flying. Not, but and around the world, things were still flying a lot. It was just over the United States. You said that the planet's temperature, because flights were grounded over the United States for 4 days, that the temperature went down by 1 degree, which I call BS on. Why did the temperatures not fall even further when travel was shut down for the better part of a year during the COVID lockdowns?
Well, I don't know about that. I know there was still, manufacturing going on. And
not that much. No, the economy of the world was really shut down, including factories. Here's another one. They tell us the sea levels are rising. I've been hearing that for a long time. Can you tell me an island in the world that is an inhabited island that has had to be evacuated because sea levels have risen and people can no longer live on that island?
Right. I've never heard of that.
No. Well, why do you think? If the sea levels are rising, certainly an island would have to be evacuated. You're calling me from Palm Beach, right? Okay. So are you on the island where all the rich people are?
Well, I'm on Lake Worth Beach.
Lake Worth Beach. Hey, Lake Worth Beach is perfect. I'm glad you're on Lake Worth Beach and not Palm Beach Island. On Lake Worth Beach, right there on the beach road, when you're on Lake Worth Beach, behind you are those buildings that are over 100 years old that used to be casinos back in the day, right? You know what I'm talking about? Okay, 100 years ago, if you go to those buildings on Lake Worth Beach, those buildings are over 100 years old and used to have a big casino in it, okay, back in the days of all the Southern Democrat corruption in Florida. If you go inside those buildings, they have pictures. Some of them are aerial photos of Lake Worth Beach from 100 years ago. The beach and the ocean and the water are in the exact same place a century ago as they are today. And you could go check that out yourself right now on Lake Worth Beach. If the sea levels are rising, why is the water not up to that building that used to be a casino 100 years ago?
Well, exactly. I mean, I know that's all just smoke and mirrors with the politics.
Oh, I think I just flipped this guy. You were telling me about climate change being real, and just with a couple of mild examples, you've totally seen it's a scam. And you heard my Where the Boys Are and Scarface of Miami Vice, which are that, I have a degree in history, and in history, when you study history, I had to write a very big research paper on something when I was graduating. I wrote a paper on the Salem witch trials, and all of it was based on diaries and news accounts at the time, primary sources. Where the Boys Are in 1960, Scarface and Miami Vice in 1983 and 1984. Those are all primary sources that show us the water levels on Fort Lauderdale and Miami Beach all those many decades ago, and show that all your climate change stuff is a scam. It's not real.
All I was saying, it was an interesting thing that, they're talking about the planet is getting warmer.
It's not.
Versus melting. It really is not.
In fact, how old are you? How old are you?
65.
Okay, you're older than me. How long have you been in Florida?
I grew up, we moved there in 1950.
Oh, perfect. You're a great. Oh, perfect. Correct. See, I've converted this guy. Okay, now. Okay, no, but it's not what you said's not true. Listen, back in the 70s and in the 80s in Florida, remember what the banks used to have? Every bank in Florida in the 70s and 80s, on their sign out in the parking lot, every bank had a digital clock with the time and temperature on it. Remember that? And yeah, and I remember it as a kid, and those temperatures sometimes would be like 105 degrees, 110 degrees, and this is in the 70s and in the early 80s. And that means it was hotter then than now. I remember in the 80s, there was a drought in Lake Okeechobee. You could go in the middle of Lake Okeechobee, the middle of it, and walk because there was a drought. And that was like in 1981.
Do you remember the snow flurries in Fort Lauderdale?
1978, it snowed in South Florida. In 1978, it snowed in South Florida. That's right. So, so what I'm telling you is all these things that they tell you are complete BS. But listen, welcome to the show. I'm up against a break. I got to run, but good caller. Okay, take care. We'll be right back.
Making morning radio great again.
I flipped that guy. He called in to promoting climate change, and boom, flipped. Totally flipped that guy. I have a very good memory, except when it comes to names. I'm very bad with names, but I have a very good memory. Very good memory. I remember faces. I'm terrible with names, but I do have a good memory, as long as it's not a name or vocabulary when I was taking foreign languages in school. Well, I can't really talk about that guy that testified yesterday because I don't think I'm allowed to say his last name on the radio. I think that's one of the words you can't say on the radio. Hey, listen, there's over 1,000 of you in the chat, and less than half of you like the video. Please like the video, because when you like the video, it tells the YouTube algorithm to recommend this video and my other videos to people that have not yet found my channel. All right? Oh, my goodness. The tip, it was 1 degree cooler because planes were grounded in the U.S. for 4 days. First off, the rest of the world was pretty much flying. It's total BS. One of the reasons they promote it is because while we're lessening our output, China's increasing theirs. Everything they do is to help China, really, isn't it? Seems that way. Yeah, the pictures are coming down. Yeah, that guy. If I have time Friday, when I'm down in Fort Lauderdale picking up my scooter, I'll make my Where the Boys Are video showing that the sea levels have not been rising. I've been talking about that for years. But because I grew up there, I know where to go from where the scenes in the movie are that you can compare the two. But yeah, that's the way it is. If you're new, subscribe. You'll love this channel. And the calls you hear, some are from YouTube, some are on the radio, listeners, No, the sea level's not rising. Believe me, if it was rising, we'd all be very concerned. We're on a peninsula here in Florida. This is a peninsula. Yeah, I'm only 270 subs away from the big 60,000 subscriber celebration. So there's over 1,100 in the live stream right now. I know you're not all subbed, so subscribe. It's completely free. There's got to be 270 out of the 1,100 plus that are watching right now that are not subscribed. You guys could get me to that 60K today during the show. Welcome, welcome, Sparks. You went to Plantation High School. Yeah, my wife went to South Plantation, and I went to Stranahan. I haven't even played the whole DeSantis global warming thing before. Well, thank you, Miguel. Well, you can get your friends to sub. You guys have friends, right? I know your friends would love this program. Yeah, this is my Star Wars shirt. I don't wear this to work too much, but I love this shirt. I actually drove to Orlando just to buy this shirt. I wanted it so bad. All right, here we go. All right, welcome back. Great callers today, by the way, huh? Are the callers not spectacular callers? I think so. All right, let's go back to the phone. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Mike from Houston again. How are
Hey,
you?
Mike, what's up?
Hey, yeah, so you were talking about, the climate change thing. And one of the things I wanted to point out, I'm 62, okay? I didn't have air conditioning until I was like maybe 13 or 14 years old. But what I'm trying to get at is all this climate hysteria seems to have its most traction on this, like the snowflake millennial set. And they've been raised almost exclusively in a hermetically sealed climate controlled environment, where the temperatures never get like below 70 degrees in the winter and above 72 in the summer. And basically, their bodies are not acclimated to higher low temperatures. And I think that drives the hysteria. So when they go out on a hot summer day and it's 94 degrees, they're like, "Oh my God!"
You mean because they've been living in living in the climate controlled central air conditioning world? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Now it's taken me about 6 or so. I moved down here with my wife from the DC area about 7 or 8 years ago. It took me about 5 or 6 summers, but I can go out now on 140 degree day and I can bike 10 miles.
Yeah.
It takes time, but you have to acclimate your body. And these kids, it's just the funniest thing. I took my
because they stay inside and play video games and watch online porn all day.
Yeah, and so when they finally do go out, you literally watch them melt. They wilt right in front of you.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, so I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Ask them. If you want to have some fun, ask a millennial to check the oil on a car. A millennial guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, although I do have to share this though. Okay. So, and this is a little embarrassing, but I jumped into a friend of mine's old 1980s car. It was a couple of years ago. Jumped in his old Honda. And it was a hot summer day. And I was looking for the button to roll the window down, and he just kept pointing to the door. And it took the crank. I had forgotten about the crank.
Oh, yeah. And it was awful. I had one of those crank windows on my first car. And I remember the crank broke, and I'd have to use pliers to get my window up and down. It was awful. It was awful. All right. Take care, man. No, go ahead. No, I'll do another remember when. Give me another remember when.
Okay. Do you remember you'd be flying down the highway on a hot summer day, and you'd have to do this almost ballet-like move to lean across the cabin to the passenger side to roll the passenger side window?
That's true.
Yeah.
Many car. All right, take care. Many car accidents were caused by that. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Ken from Jupiter.
Hey, Ken.
Good morning, Brian. Since we're talking about climate change, I found it interesting. Venice in Italy, if you remember a few years back, the leftists were going nuts because there were parts of Venice that were underwater. People had a difficult time walking the street. And now I heard a report, which is interesting because nobody's really reporting on it, but Venice is experiencing a drought. And now what do they call those boats that they use for transportation throughout the city?
I don't know, gondolas?
Gondolas, thank you. Yeah, the gondolas right now can't get around because there's not enough water in the canals.
Well, they should borrow from Florida some airboats.
There's no water for it to float on.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can use bicycles.
You know, it's just a big scam. It's just not true. I mean, we live on a peninsula, like you're in Jupiter, right? The Jupiter Lighthouse, which is on the ocean, was built during the Civil War. Before, it was actually a little bit before the Civil War. And if you look at the pictures of the lighthouse back in the 1860s and 70s, it's in the same spot today that it was back during that era.
Well, in a lot of these places that are considered, risk for climate change, what they are considering is that land settles and sometimes land drops. When you build heavy buildings along the coast of an area that's mostly sandy, such as in Miami, a lot of that is caused to settlement due to improper building,
like the building that collapsed, because there's so, you go down to Miami Beach, and it's amazing that island is above water, just like Manhattan. The weight of all these buildings. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Hey, listen, I appreciate the call. All right, take care. Great calls today. Very good calls. We have smart people in this audience, I must tell you, much smarter than me. All right, yeah, so let me finish up with this, though. So I found this, the reason we're talking about climate change, this is not just some generic thing we're talking about. I came across yesterday some lost video of Governor Ron DeSantis promoting global warming. And I just played the first couple seconds of it, and it started this whole conversation about almost an hour ago, but I'll play the whole thing now. And the first clip is when he was running for governor the first time. And I don't remember this. I don't know how we missed this. And maybe this is why he was so far behind Putnam in the polls. So this is Ron DeSantis when he was running for governor the first time.
Human activity and the changing climate, maybe it's not, I don't know, but what I do know is I see the sea rising, I see the increased flooding in South Florida.
Ron DeSantis says he wants $1 billion put toward efforts to brace the state of Florida for the impacts of climate change.
He's brought science back into the equation to some extent. He's hired a chief science officer for the state of Florida to talk about how to handle the effects of climate change.
Yeah. We are now ready to award over $8.5 million in contracts to build 74 additional fast electric charging stations along Florida's major highways. And the development of charging infrastructure is essential to increasing the number of electrical vehicles on our streets.
Wow. I mean, when I first saw that yesterday, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it at first. I thought it was like a deep fake video, a deep fake light where they dubbed someone's commentary over Ron DeSantis's mouth. I really did, because that was just so insane to me. And then when I went back to find out if I did not play that on my podcast last night, and I had that before the podcast because I was verifying it, and I just couldn't believe. I could not believe it. And that first part was when he was running for governor the first time. And then the rest of it, he was already governor. He already won. And I don't remember any of that. I don't know how I missed that. I don't know how all of us missed that. I don't know. Now, Sean Hannity just did an incredible interview with President Trump last night. Did you guys see it? It was a great interview. In fact, I'm going to tell you, that was one of the best interviews I've heard done of Donald Trump. You know, when somebody is talking all the time, like Donald Trump does, it's a hard interview because you want to be able to talk to them about things that they haven't talked about and explained endlessly. You understand what I mean? And Hannity did that. And I have two clips. One of them is a completely new thing. Hannity, who did a spectacular job. That's why Ingram was bashing him. Jealous of Hannity. Hannity is the first media person that asked President Trump about that photograph of him with the baseball bat with Bragg. Now, those of you that follow me on YouTube, I make a lot of YouTube videos. You guys that follow me on YouTube know. And sometimes I live stream when I'm out and about. And on Saturday morning, I was live streaming for about an hour or two at Starbucks, the Starbucks near my house. And a homeless guy lives at the Starbucks that I go to on the weekends. And Starbucks actually has a policy. They don't promote this. You can Google this. You'll see. They don't advertise it. But Starbucks allows homeless people to live at their locations. Did you know that? Yeah. And this homeless guy, he is a big, scary guy. And he lives at the Starbucks. And he sleeps on the tables out front where all the woke snowflakes eat their food. I don't eat at the tables because the homeless guy is there all the time. This guy is so entrenched at this Starbucks. When I go there to live stream, and I get there on the weekends, I wake up early. So I start live streaming. I get there at 6 a.m. usually. It's still dark out. And sometimes on my live streams, you can hear a noise in the background that sounds like a vacuum cleaner. This homeless guy is so entrenched at the Starbucks that I go to that he sleeps out front with all his stuff and his bicycle. He has an oxygen machine and a CPAP machine. And he's sleeping sprawled out on a table when I'm doing the live streams in the morning behind me. So you guys miss a lot if you don't follow me on YouTube. And the noise in the background that you hear is his oxygen and CPAP machine. Isn't that something? Now, I have a directional mic and a noise cancellation mic, so it doesn't pick up all of it. You can hear it in the background. And I know, isn't it nuts? So when I was live streaming, I have my MAGA hat. I just looked at the clock. Let me take the break on time, and then I'll play this. And it does relate to Trump's comments to Hannity. That's why I'm sharing this with you. We'll be right back.
The cold, hard.
Yeah, this is hilarious. Listen, when you have $10 billion and you own planes and stuff like he does, you don't have to brag. Just being you is bragging if you're at the Trump level. Yeah, a lot of people use CPAPs, but this homeless guy's got, you have to have an oxygen machine to power the CPAP. So he's got a portable oxygen concentrator and a CPAP as he's sleeping on the table in front of Starbucks. That's crazy. He plugs it into the wall at Starbucks. They got outlets outside and stuff. He plugs it into their outlet. He uses Starbucks electricity. On the live streams on YouTube, I use this mic. I just got this mic a couple weeks ago. But this mic here has noise cancellation technology in it. It cancels out excess noise. Sometimes I have a clip-on mic, a lavalier mic that's wired. That picks up the CPAP machine a lot better than this mic. This mic cancels it out a little bit. The one on my glasses. Yeah, it's a good mic. Yeah, I've had this mic, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks. $25, wireless mic. Pretty good deal. And I wanted to get a wireless mic. And I was going to get the Rode, which everybody has. It's like $300. And I went on Amazon and looked up wireless mics. This is the first one that came up. It had good reviews, so I got it. It sure is. Welcome back, everyone. And the countdown has begun. It is March 28th, and you have to book by March 31st on the Duro River cruise through Portugal's wine country to get the free airfare round trip from the United States to Lisbon and the high-speed rail transportation from Lisbon to Porto, where the riverboat is waiting for the cruise. But if you book before March 31st, round-trip airfare to Portugal's capital of Lisbon and the high-speed rail transportation from Lisbon to the boat is included, but you've got to book by March 31st, okay? The cruise date is August 23rd through September 2nd. And, of course, this is a wine sampling tour, so you wine lovers are going to love it. And there's also culinary events along the way with chefs. So you foodies out there, you're going to love it too. And remember, this is a first-class river cruise through Portugal's wine country. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, tips is included. To find out more information and get all the details, go to brianportugal.com and request a brochure. brianportugal.com. You'll see right there on the left, it says request a brochure. Click that and request a brochure. It'll give you all the information. But you only have a couple more days to book to get the free round-trip airfare and the free high-speed rail from Lisbon to Porto, okay? brianportugal.com. That's brianportugal.com and request a brochure. Okay, so anyway, I'll finish up because this fits into Trump's interview with Hannity. He was talking about the photo with Bragg when he had the baseball bat. Okay, so anyway, I'm at Starbucks live streaming, and some of you may have seen this. And when I live stream at Starbucks, I have my MAGA hat on. And I don't wear my MAGA hat when I order the coffee because I figure the snowflake baristas might give me decaf or something. So and they have high turnover. So I just, So anyway, I'm live streaming with my MAGA hat on in front of Starbucks on Saturday morning. And this homeless guy is there. He finally wakes up. Here I am. It's my day off. Every day is his day off. And I'm up before the sun comes up. But the sun came up. He woke up. And there was this creepy liberal who was aggravated at me and my hat. I had an incident with him at the Starbucks the week before. This creep is sitting behind me, staring at me, keeping watch over me. And he and the homeless guy start having a conversation about Trump and the baseball bat. And actually, the homeless guy knew the whole story. He's like, oh, Trump said there's going to be an uprising. He's got the baseball bat out. And I'm like, well, he's up to speed on the news. He probably has internet access too, this homeless guy with the CPAP machine. And I was talking about this on the live stream, and I said what these guys are trying to do is trigger me, and I'm not going to respond because that's what they want, right? If I say anything, all of a sudden they'll be each other's corroborating witness that I triggered something, my own, you know how these guys are. They're talking about January 6th and all this stuff behind me trying to trigger me. And I'm not going to fall for their trap. But anyway, that post on Truth Social that the homeless guy with the CPAP and portable oxygen concentrator knew all about was when Trump posted on Truth Social a news story, and then there was a photograph with Trump with a baseball bat next to Bragg. And that story they've been attacking Trump for a week. Trump is calling for violence. He's got a baseball bat out. This guy's a prosecutor. He's an official. This is another crime of Trump's. Well, Hannity, in this masterful interview, I got to tell you, not only was that one of the best interviews of Trump that I've seen anybody do last night by Hannity, that was probably the best interview I've ever seen Hannity do. And so Hannity asks President Trump about the baseball bat photo with Bragg and posting that to Truth Social. And why'd you do that? What were you thinking, Mr. President? And Trump gave a very detailed answer that I've not heard before, and it's amazing. Listen.
You have to understand that when the story was put up, I put up a story. We didn't see pictures. We put up a story that was very exculpatory, very good story from the standpoint of what we're talking about. And they put up a picture of me. And you know where I was holding the baseball bat? It was at the White House. Make America, Buy America, because they did a lot of Buy America things. And this is a company that makes baseball bats. Then they put next to that picture, a picture of Alvin Bragg. I didn't do it. They did it. I guess the people that do the paper or somebody put pictures together, but I was holding a baseball bat in order to promote Made in America.
It wasn't on your post to Truth Social?
No. What they did is we posted the story, but they had a picture up, but they then put a picture up, or the picture was put up that nobody noticed or saw, or that nobody thought was bad. These were two separate pictures. I was promoting Made in America. You make these baseball bats instead of sending over to Japan and China and all other places where they're made. This was a company, good company, that makes baseball bats and other things like that in America. They took that picture from the White House and they put it up, and then they put a picture of Alvin Bragg up. I will say this with death and destruction. I didn't say death and destruction. I said, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I said, I'm afraid that if they do this, which is a fake prosecution, where my worst enemies say that he's totally innocent. I mean, I can't believe people that have never been positive to me or defended me, that don't like me, they're on the other side of the world. These are people that said, you can't do this prosecution. It will cause tremendous problems. I didn't say do something bad. I say I am afraid that people will do something.
Okay. So that was the first time Trump was asked about this. And I thought Hannity did his best interview there. He does have one habit that's a negative. He likes to finish people's sentences. Hannity, I think maybe he doesn't think they're going to get enough of the information. I don't know. It's a bad habit. It's probably just a bad habit. But anyway, so what Trump said there, and I heard people talking about this on all the cable news for the last several days throughout the whole weekend. He posted a news story about the thing with him and Bragg on Truth Social. The people that wrote the news story took a picture of Bragg and then this other picture, put it in the news story. And you know how it is on any of your socials. When you post a link to a news story, a picture from the news story pops up sometimes. And sometimes it's shocking. Oh, I didn't even see the picture. That's what happened. You know, but the way that it's been spun in the media is that Trump put up a picture and threatened Bragg with a baseball bat. No, the news, whoever the news story was, and by the way, he deleted that post, which is something President Trump doesn't do often. The people that wrote the news story had the picture up there with him with the baseball bat next to Bragg. They made a meme of it. It was not him. I thought it was pretty good that Hannity brought that out. I was pretty impressed with that interview last night. And I'm glad that he asked him about Bragg. So I only have, I think, one other clip from the interview. Yeah, just one other clip. And this one is a, let me see. Do we have time to play it? Let me see here. Because, yeah, we better have time to play it. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Okay. This is from the Hannity interview last night with Trump. And it's a little more detail to what he shared at the rally. He talks about Trump when Ron DeSantis came to him and asked for his endorsement. This is the Hannity interview last night.
Came to see me. What happened with Ron is the following. He came to see me. He was getting killed. He was being crushed. Adam Putnam, it was over. I had many people that I know that worked for Adam Putnam. They said it was like a nuclear, I hate to use this expression, it was like a nuclear weapon went off when you endorsed, because they considered the race to be over. They had the race. He had millions and millions of dollars, and he was way up in the polls. He was beating Ron by 30 points or so. It was over. Ron came to see me, tears in his eyes. He said, I need you to do me a big favor. First he asked for the meeting, then he asked me for the favor. I said, what's the favor? Would you endorse me? I fought for you. But again, a lot of people fought for me. You fought for me only rightfully, but you fought for me if you thought I was right. A lot more than he did. But he said, I need your endorsement. I said, Ron, you're so far behind. I can't imagine that if you got George Washington's endorsement combined with the great Abraham Lincoln, if you had their endorsements, I don't think you could win, Ron, but tell me about it. Go ahead. He said, I'm telling you, I think I could win if I could get your endorsement. And he was, you have to check the records, but many, many, many points. It was over. And the nomination just,
It was a very close
the
race.
nomination was just, okay. I said, let's give it a shot. Okay. You know, you defended me. Adam Putnam didn't, one way or the other. I think he's probably a nice guy. You know, I never met him until later. A year later, I met him. He said, when you did that, it was like a rocket went up. He said, my race was over. They were already buying furniture for the governor's mansion. They were going to win. So I said, let's give it a shot, Ron. Okay. And he was desperate. I said, okay. I gave him a nice endorsement. I said, you write out what you'd like and let me see it. He wrote it out. I thought it was terrible. I changed it, made it great. I gave him a great endorsement. From the moment I pressed that button, he blew the guy away. The race was over. They never even got to spend their money. Then I had to get him against the star of the Democrat Party. It was going to be Stacey Abrams. And now we call him a crackhead because that's what he was, a crackhead. Kill him. And there was no way Ron was going to beat Gillum. So he got the nomination, but there was no way because this guy was going to be the future of the Democrat Party. And I said, Ron, you can beat this guy. Let's go. I got him the nomination. By the way, could have never gotten the nomination. He would be working in either a pizza parlor place or an office right now. Okay. And he wouldn't be very happy.
Okay. So, yeah. So he'd be working at Pizza Hut if I had not endorsed him, President Trump said. Okay. Now, I know that story is 100% true and accurate, not just because Donald Trump told it and he's never told us a lie. Okay. I always believe Trump. But there's so much colorful detail into that story. Putnam couldn't even spend all his money because he got destroyed. The tears in his eyes. There's all these little details give credibility to that story, and they're very colorful details. And I think that's a very interesting story that he tells. And the significance of that story is many, but one of the takeaways is the total betrayal that DeSantis made when it came to President Trump. And if he's going to go to a guy, you know what he does? It's like in The Godfather. Who's the character in The Godfather that plays Frank Sinatra? Do you guys, what was that? Frankie Lane? Was it Frankie Lane? The guy that plays the character's name that was playing Sinatra. Remember, he goes to The Godfather and he's crying, Godfather, this part is perfect for me. And he says, behave like a man. Remember that? That's how. Remember that scene in the beginning of The Godfather? It's awesome. That's how President Trump is describing DeSantis. Maybe the Babylon Bee could do a parody of that. That'd be pretty funny. If you're going to go to the MAGA king and kiss his ring and grovel and cry and beg, okay, for his support and endorsement, because you defend him, you stand by him, and then you betray him like that, okay? The significance of that is, if he's going to lie to a man like that, can we trust him? Do you understand what I'm saying? If you're going to lie like that to someone, would he not lie to us? Johnny Fontaine, thank you very much. Johnny Fontaine. Yeah, remember Johnny Fontaine? Godfather, please, the part is perfect for me. Make me a star, Behave like a man. Remember then he like slapped him, Johnny Fontaine? That was awesome. Well, that Johnny Fontaine Brando scene was Trump and DeSantis. And I think that's a good comparison. If he's going to lie to Trump to his face like that, can you trust him? Can I trust him? I don't think so. Anyway, we're going to take our break for the top of the hour. Our number is toll free 1-888-GO-CANE 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. The Babylon Bee could do a beautiful parody with Johnny Fontaine and The Godfather with Trump and DeSantis begging for the endorsement. That would be beautiful. Anyway, there was one last thing in the Trump interview that I want to talk about, but we don't have time. When we get back from the top of the hour, I'll get into that. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 46 years on the radio. I'm Brian. We'll be back right after this.
WWNN Pompano Beach.
Johnny Fontaine.
Are we doing the same thing we did?
Oh, guys, I lost the feed. Are you guys back now? My phone went dark. It's hot. The phone is hot. You know why? It's hot in here. Yeah. Okay. One last story here. Where is... They're attacking Trump on one thing. I didn't pull it off the interview because I didn't think it would. I thought it made sense. And then I see them attacking Trump for it. So let me see if I can find. Yes, okay. There's one last thing on the Trump interview that the media are attacking him for saying. These people are sick. Okay, so I'll finish up with that, and then and Steve's joining us. We're going to move into some other. He wants to talk about the Nashville massacre, and we'll get into that. But I just want this is a big one. They're going to be attacking Trump probably all day over this one clip from the Hannity interview. Let me see here. These people, these never Trumpers, these Trump haters are just sick people. They're just sick people. Hey guys, there's over 1,200 in the chat, and less than half of you like the video. Please like the video. Liking the video helps spread the word about this channel, and it helps grow the channel. Great calls today. Great calls. Well, thanks, Sherry. I appreciate that. Liking the video helps. What happens is when you guys like the video, when you're subscribed, you like the video, and the notification bell too helps. But what all that does is it tells the YouTube algorithm that you guys like my content and recommends it to people that they think would like it too that haven't found me yet. And that's how channels grow. That's why I'm always asking you guys to do it. It's not, I don't need all the positive reinforcement that you like it. I want to grow the channel, and that helps big time grow the channel. I've got to go to the men's room so bad, but I've been yapping during the breaks. Oh, yeah. I flipped that guy. That climate change guy.
Wish I had them for everyone, but the first 42 only channel listeners who call 1-833-283-5050 will get a free doorbell camera that connects directly to your cell phone with installation of your Sloman Shield. You can see your home right from the palm of your hands. That's not all. Sloman's is going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. So you're getting an LED touchscreen pad, a motion detector, 3 arm doors, and a backup battery. Plus, if you're one of the first 40 True channel listeners to dial 1-833-283-5050, you'll receive a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Sloman Shield. So call Sloman's now for this limited time offer at 1-833.
Oh, Michael Knowles. He's in trouble too. I don't know if I have time to get to Michael Knowles. Here's me on the cruise we were at one of the shows. I was taking selfies with the this is one of the singers in a rock and roll show they did. Any of you guys on the cruise remember that? Oh, that's some of us. Here's us walking through San Juan. All right, welcome back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve joined. Hey, Steve. Good. I just want to finish up on the Hannity interview, then we'll move on to talk about this. Okay, so Hannity did what I think is probably his best interview he's ever done. And I've seen a lot of Hannity interviews. Did a very good interview and with President Trump last night. And there was one last thing. I didn't pull the clip of this, so I'm just going to tell you about it because I didn't think much of it. There were so many great things, and they're attacking President Trump after this interview. So he talked about a lot of things, and this is in the New York Post, but it's all over the news today. They're always looking They're always looking to trash Trump. It says here, Donald Trump on Monday. This is in the New York Post today, and it's an article about the Hannity interview with Donald Trump last night. Donald Trump on Monday wildly claimed, when you use wildly in newspapers, well, I'm going to sneeze, guys. The air just popped. All right. Oh, boy. Sorry, guys. The air condition. No, I don't have COVID. It just, the air conditioning popped on, and it's kind of over my head, and it made me sneeze. That's all. Everybody thinks you have COVID. They run if you sneeze, and But anyway, President Donald Trump on Monday wildly claimed that he could resolve the war in Ukraine within 24 hours of leading peace negotiations, but he refused to reveal how. And this is what's picking up a lot on social media and in the mainstream corporate Trump-hating media, that he says he can solve it. He can end the war in 24 hours, but he won't tell anyone how. Well, they're making it sound like that's a negative, like he's being selfish, that people are dying because he won't. The opposite is true, okay? The reason that he will not reveal is because, first off, Biden doesn't want to end the war in Ukraine, okay? The big guy gets 10% of all the money that gets spent on Ukraine, and they want this to go, because of all the military industrial complex donors. But even if Biden wanted to end the war with Russia and Ukraine, he certainly wouldn't do it taking the advice of Donald Trump, okay? So Donald Trump has a plan to end the war with Russia and Ukraine in 24 hours, and he's not revealing it because you don't want to tip off your enemy, Putin, of what you're going to do. Right? I mean, you can't tell them what you're going to do to counter what they're doing in a warlike situation. So this is classified information. Donald Trump is smart not to reveal how he's going to end the war in 24 hours. Why would you give a secret like that to Putin? It would be stupid.
The most important question is will he come up with is a way to end the war, or a way that he would end the war if he was president?
Well, whatever it is, I don't understand what the difference would be. What do you mean?
If he was president is one question. I mean,
yeah. Well, whatever it is, I kind of get what you're saying, but you don't want to tell the enemy what your tactics are to defeat them. You don't do that. I mean, did Roosevelt go on? Did he do an interview and tell the New York Times how we were going to invade Normandy and defeat the Nazis? I don't think so. The Nazis found out when we came a knocking. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, he's got a way to end it, and I.
What he would do if he were president.
Yeah, but he's going to be president again, and he's going to do it then. If he gives it out now, Biden is not going to say, wow, Donald Trump just has first off, Biden doesn't want to end the war. Okay, we all know that. He wants to profit from it, right? He's a war profiteer. But even if he wanted to end it, Biden, who was more concerned about his ice cream yesterday than the dead babies, he's not going to say, you know what, Donald Trump, that's a great idea. I'm going to do what Donald Trump suggested. Yeah. So no, keep it secret, President Trump, if you're listening. Okay. So there was some confusion about the shooter of the children in Nashville that we did clear up in the first hour. So let me recap that. And then I got some audio here, one in particular of Biden. But I was very confused, and I really, truly was. I don't want people. Well, I came in this morning. Yeah.
For everything.
Well, I was very confused even this morning when I went on the air, and I want to do the disclaimer again, okay? Because this is an important disclaimer. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to make fun. I was really confused. Now, I was very clear that this killer, this monster, this murderer is transgender. But what I couldn't figure out is, were they born a girl or born a boy? I couldn't figure that out. It was very confusing. And most of the news accounts would either use the last name of the shooter or tell you they were transgender. And the news, even Fox, were dancing all over it. So I threw it out to our callers, and the callers, many were confused as well. But some clarified it and said that the transgender murderer monster of Nashville was born a girl and was living as a boy. So we did clarify that. But Joe Biden did something yesterday that was disgusting, and I want to play it for you. So, yeah. So callers on hold, stand by. I was waiting for you to get here to play this clip, Steve. So at the time that he said this, we have 6 dead. 3 of them are babies. And by the way, 9-year-olds are babies to me. Okay. And they should be to you too. I mean, it's hard to even fathom this, but so we've got, and by the way, Biden had been briefed. They brought him down to comment on a mass murder in Nashville where 3 9-year-old babies were brutally murdered by AR-15 gunfire. And he's been briefed. He's rehearsed his statements. And before he does that, he decides to do what he thinks is stand-up comedy. Listen.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Dr. Joe Biden's husband.
Do they have one of those old laugh tracks from like Norman Lear production back in the 70s? This is like MASH when they have the fake laughter. You know, it goes.
Joe Biden. I'm Dr. Joe Biden's husband. And I ate Jenny's ice cream, chocolate chip. I came down because I heard there was chocolate chip ice cream. By the way, I have a whole refrigerator full upstairs. I think I'm kidding. No, I'm not. God.
Okay, what kind of grown man?
Comic response.
Yeah.
To mass killings.
There's a couple possibilities here. One is he has a refrigerator filled with ice cream upstairs. That sounds really creepy. That sounds like what creeps do. I've got all the candy and ice cream, you know. But I think he's so far gone mentally that at the end of the day, Jill gives him a reward of ice cream, and it's that time of day. And I'll tell you this. This is one of the sickest, most twisted things any president has ever done. And you know, they brought him down there very specifically to talk about the babies that were murdered at the school. And the president of the United States gets up there and does a comedy routine about chocolate ice cream. And that is just, it's an embarrassment. I'm embarrassed for him. Okay. And that moment was being carried globally because that was a global news story and that happened.
Disappeared rather quickly?
No, depends on what you're watching. It depends on what you're watching. The whole story is going to disappear because transgendered people are little angels who don't do no wrong. And since this was a transgender mass murderer, they don't want that narrative out there. So the whole story will be gone by tomorrow or the day after. And I'll tell you, the mayor of Nashville is a twisted guy. He's a Democrat, and he came out there and he started his press conference and he says, this morning I was in Boston watching my son play in some game somewhere. What's the relevance of the story of that? He's bragging about his kid while these babies are dead. I mean, what a sick person. And one thing I want to clarify, this is important. The mayor said this and others are saying it. Gun deaths are the #1 cause of death for children. That is not true. The #1 cause of death for children is car accidents. And where they get that figure, they're including 18 and 19-year-olds as children. If you include 18 and 19-year-olds as children, gun deaths are the #1 cause of death for children. But if you're only counting children that's under 18, the leading cause of death is car accidents, not gun violence. But they have a narrative, don't you know? They got to promote. All right, we'll take our break and be back.
DFK Kane Show live on air now. 888-GO-K1. This is the Steve Kane Show with Brian Craig on Oldies 95.9 and 106.9.
All right, and it's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning. Great. What do you have for us today?
We get a lot of people end up coming in to do their estate planning. These are people who served as personal representatives or executors on a family member's estate. So what happened is they serve as the executor in the estate, and they go through the whole process, which once they realize how long and tedious and expensive and aggravating it is, they're rushing to come in to get their estate planning done so they don't have to go through that or have their family go through that. So really, one of the best testimonials for the idea of getting your estate plan done correctly is the fact that people who have to go through estate plans that are done incorrectly rush in to get their estate plans done correctly because they realize what a difficult, painful, expensive process it is. And again, they don't want to put their family through it.
Yeah, and you know, personalities and relationships change right quick when someone dies and things aren't set up right. And people start doing it's a mess. If anyone in your has had that happen in a family, you know what you're talking about. You know, we're almost out of time here, but I do want to mention, you know, I get your newsletter. The Siegel Law Group has a newsletter, and I get your newsletter. And your newsletter this week was very interesting because there's so many things people don't consider. You sent out a newsletter this week about making sure that your trust covers your digital assets, which had never even occurred to me before that people have digital assets now.
You know, there's all kinds of things to consider as things change in society. There are a lot of things we have to be prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
In getting that particular e-newsletter and being on our e-news list, you can go to our website at Siegel Law.
Yeah. And, you know, people have online businesses and things, you know, and they have crypto and all kinds of things are digital today. And you got to have that covered in the trust or you're in trouble. Listen, call the Siegel Law Group. It's a free consultation with the Siegel Law Group. If you mention you heard Attorney Barry Siegel on the radio, the number is 855-FLA-3782. 855-FLA-3782. And online, SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, we'll talk later in the week. All right, we'll be right back.
On the air since 1977, it's the Steve Kane Show with Brian.
All right, I'm Brian. Steve is here. Our number 1-888-GO-KANE-1. We've covered a lot in the last couple of hours, so we'll just take some calls before we bring up some other things. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, good morning. This is Barbara in Baltimore.
Hey, Barbara.
Hi. Hi. A great show. You touched on so many important things this morning, and I really appreciate it. I just want us to go back to a couple of things. One is to Jane Fonda and the comments that she made. I remember that because I am a grandmother, so I do remember when that happened. And I think it's very important to remind people that words do have consequences. And what she said, because I tweeted something to her already this morning and to The View, this needs to stop. And I also think, as far as the shooter, I mean, don't you think that maybe it's time for us to find out what the effects of gender-altering medications is having on people, their mental?
Well, you know, I'll tell you a couple of things. Let's start with Jane Fonda. And just to recap, we were talking earlier about this. Jane Fonda was on The View a couple weeks ago, and she was talking about Christians that have this crazy idea that a baby growing inside the womb should be allowed to live. And she said, regardless of the law, we're still going to have our abortions. Although her and Lily Tomlin's gay, and Jane Fonda's like 80-something years old. I mean, the chances of them becoming pregnant is about the same as me becoming pregnant. But, you know, but But Jane Fonda was thrown by Joy Behar a softball question, and Jane Fonda said a terrible thing. She says, "Well, Jane, what can we do?" And she said, "Murder them." And she said it twice. And now we have a mass murder of Christians in America. 3 of them little babies, 9 years old. And just another example of irresponsible broadcasting on behalf of The View. The other thing, I read an article, you talk about the transgender. I read an article this morning that said the vast majority, they gave the number, I can't remember the exact number. It was like around 80% or more of transgender people are not taking any medications for it. They're just cross-dressers. So don't assume, well, don't assume that this person was on trans medications. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. But see, I don't think there are that many transgender people in the country as it would appear. I think it's a fad, like the ice bucket challenge or the Macarena.
And I think
Yeah, it's a fad.
other children are getting caught up in it, and I think it's because they're treated so differently, and that they're almost like a protected class, and it's a way of almost like a gang. You join the gang, and you're a part of it.
Well, I don't know about a gang. When I was in school, we had goth kids. I'm sure there's still goth kids. The girls that wear all black. They make themselves outcast so that they're not outcast by the group. And I don't think, as opposed to being goth today, kids are cross-dressers. They're trans instead of being goth, and then they find their own little club.
I've seen more girls dressed like boys than I've seen in my entire life, and I have a 17-year-old grandchild.
Mm-hmm.
It's an alarming rate that I see this happening. And one last thing, I'd like to thank you in particular about the information on Ron DeSantis. I've gone and Googled stories about climate change and Ron DeSantis, and apparently he is spending a lot of Floridian tax dollars to prepare for the ocean to rise.
Which is not rising.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, listen, thanks for the call. Yeah, and I got to tell you, the calls in general the last few months have been much higher caliber than in past years. Okay, we have a very high level of caller on this program, but today has been above and beyond even a normal. I mean, the calls today since 6 a.m. have been a lot of new people, but also brilliant thoughts and coming, very knowledgeable and well-informed people. But hey, the show's not over yet. Who knows what's coming up, right? Good morning. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Born from Tampa Bay.
Oh, hey. Well, I take that back. Anybody who lives in Tampa Bay by choice, you got to question them. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, I live there because I'm close to the VA hospital up here.
There's a VA hospital right down the street from the radio station. They're everywhere. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I noticed there's been a mass shooting every day since the beginning of the year, like 130 since the beginning of the year. And I disagree with having the flag flown at half staff. We're going to be flying the flags at half staff at all the VA hospitals and the White House until the end of the month. Let the families mourn in peace and let the perpetrator remain unnamed and unremembered.
Well, don't worry. This story will disappear. The murderer is a trans person, and the media don't want to promote a negative story about trans people. So by Thursday, there'll be no stories on this.
Good. We don't even know what sex.
What are you in the VA hospital? Why do you have to be close to one? What's the matter with you?
Nothing's wrong with me. That's where I get my primary care as an honorably discharged veteran.
Okay. All right. Just curious. I've been to that VA hospital. My dad uses that hospital. Maybe you know my dad. He uses the same VA hospital you use. All right. Take care. All right. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, this is Helen from Kansas.
Oh, hey, Helen.
Well, you're talking about climate change and the tides raising. Well, if anybody follows true science, the moon causes the tides to rise occasionally.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Wow. Mrs. Wizard there. What? No, we're not talking about climate change. I know it came up. Let me just play this again so there's context. I came across some audio yesterday of Ron DeSantis that I had not heard before. The first bit is when he was running for governor the first time, but the others, he was gov.
Human activity and the changing climate, maybe it's not, I don't know, but what I do know is I see the sea rising. I see the increased flooding in South Florida.
Ron DeSantis says he wants $1 billion put toward efforts to brace the state of Florida for the impacts of climate change.
He's brought science back into the equation to some extent. He's hired a chief science officer for the state of Florida to talk about how to handle the effects of climate change.
We are now ready to award over $8.5 million in contracts to build 74 additional fast electric charging stations along Florida's major highways. And the development of charging infrastructure is essential to increasing the number of electrical vehicles on our streets.
I mean, he's like AOC on this stuff. I was in shock when I first had that video. I thought it was fake. I really did. I couldn't, but it's true. That is Governor DeSantis sounding like AOC. All right, we'll take our break and be right back.
Making morning radio great again.
Pretty crazy, huh? Yeah, really.
From Helen talking about the Bible to science.
Yeah, she's getting aggravated because I'm keeping her calls short. I mean,
I mean, after that outburst, a week or two ago.
Exactly. I think that might be her on line 1. I'm going to find out. I'm going to put her to the front. I think she might be on line 1 again. Hell, we'll find out. I'll be right back, guys.
And now, a True Oldies traffic check, brought to you by the Palm Beach Kennel Club.
In the Palm Beaches, the major expressways are still crash-free, but we're seeing slowdowns on 95 heading southbound from Lakewood Road to Atlantic Avenue. The northbound side is a stopping location now from here to the beach in Boca. Same for the turnpikes, you may want to take Military Trail or just take the turnpike faster. We do have a multi-vehicle crash now on Forest Hill Boulevard at Lions Road. Another crash there. Another crash on Royal Palm Beach Boulevard at Okeechobee Boulevard. In Broward County, Cypress Creek eastbound is going to be shut down between Powerline Road and Andrews Avenue, taking the nap for commercial instead. I-95 southbound after Ives-Dairy Road, center lane is blocked there. This is sponsored by Macy's. Join Macy's and Girls Inc. to empower a new generation of leaders when you donate online all throughout March. Get back later in Women's History Month at Macy's.com/purpose. Let's drop Purpose Bar.
Traffic is service of Palm Beach Kennel Club. Lots of exciting events at PBKC with the Poker Room's $100,000 guaranteed Monster Multi-Flight Tournament, March 30th through April 2nd. This Saturday, watch, wager, and win on exciting OTB action, including the Florida and Arkansas Derby, with attic tickets available. For info, go to bbkennelclub.com.
Brian Craig here with a question for seniors and those who care about them. How would you like to have instant access to a healthcare advocate at the touch of a button? Would that make life easier for you? You can with I Will Advocates. I Will Advocates will help you set up doctor's appointments, help with your pharmacy, even deal with your pharmacist to make sure that you have your prescriptions. They'll help you find a doctor, including a specialist. If you've been billed improperly by a doctor's office or a hospital, they can help you with that too. They'll even be your advocate when you're in the hospital to make sure you get the care you need.
Oh my goodness. Welcome everyone. Make sure you guys are subscribed. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. I've got a couple more clips. That guy from Tampa, he's they can hear me on the video, just saying. He was our board op a long time ago. And yeah, and we were at the radio station for a hurricane. We talked about it. I've talked about it a few times on the He was the guy that drank all the beer that we had for the hurricane before the hurricane hit.
He's the one that and the mom, no?
I don't know about the one with the mom, but he's the one that drank all the beer before the hurricane even hit land. You know?
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
So, he still calls and listens, all right?
Yeah, he's probably in alcohol rehab at the VA in Tampa. I don't know, but
I mean, listen, after all that, I would
that's why I always give him a hard time when he calls in. I just didn't feel like
go through all
jabbing him anymore today. I didn't want to go through the history of it. Yeah, exactly. I had to let him know you guys could hear me just in case, because I had the wireless mic on. I know. Funny. Did you guys could hear me when I was in there talking to Mike, couldn't you? Whenever you have a microphone, you got to tell people that the microphone's hot.
Good morning, Brian. It's Lisa. And
Here's Lisa's commercial.
received our My Pillow 2.0 that we ordered with Kane the other day. The
Lisa's good.
free, and they're our first My Pillows, and we love them. We absolutely love them. They're just absolutely marvelous. Yeah, I'm so glad. I got slippers on the way.
Go to mypillow.com and use our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E, and buy your My Pillow 2.0. Right now, buy one, get one free. You can also order by phone, toll free, 800-716-4879.
I mean, what kind of guy brags about having a refrigerator full of ice cream? Freaking weirdo. All right, welcome back. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane is here, and well, let's take some calls today. I got more audio sound bites to play, but let's take some calls. Let's go. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Henry, West Palm Beach. How you doing, bro?
Hey, Henry.
Hey, I got a question about the global warming thing.
Yes.
Two questions. If the oceans are rising so rapidly, why are the banks still financing oceanfront property?
Yeah, and you know you're in Palm Beach, right? Are you in West Palm Beach, or are you on the island? Okay. You know, the people that live on Palm Beach Island, that's where Mar-a-Lago is, and Rush's house, and the Kennedy compound. So, you know, the Kennedy compound is right on the beach where it's been for how many years? 100 years, and it hasn't been flooded. The last I've checked.
Is why would Barry and Michael Obama purchase a $15 billion property on the island of Martha's Vineyard?
That's a good question.
Barry.
I like that silent little that comment you made about Michelle Obama. You should be very careful about that. Okay. Remember what happened to Joan Rivers? Joan Rivers was walking into a doctor's office. They asked her about the Obamas, and Joan Rivers, the funniest woman who ever lived, okay, said that Michelle Obama's a tranny, and then she went in and died in that surgery. Yeah. All right. Take care, man. All right. That guy, he knows a lot. See, didn't I tell you, Steve? Elevated callers, informed callers. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning. It's Jim from New York. How you doing?
Oh, hey, Jim.
Hey, so I want to talk about that the shooting in Tennessee, but I wanted to say first, I know I put this on social media, but we were down last week. 7 of us went to Anne Marie's. Absolute home run. You guys are local or you're visiting down there, whether it was the Jerry's Bank Rolls, the lobster ravioli, the pizza. I had the chicken piccata and that lemon cream sauce. Absolute home run. If you guys are visiting down there or even local, I totally advocate that. But I'm an Italian American. Absolute home run.
This is a ringing endorsement like none other. Here we've got an Italian New Yorker who's raving about Anne Marie's in Pompano, which of course is on the northwest corner of US 1 Federal Highway and Copans Road in Pompano, in the same plaza as the movie theater. Well, thanks so much. I think we just heard the new Anne Marie's spot. I'll make that a commercial. Good morning. All right. All right, go ahead. What's your other reason for calling?
Okay. And I'm towing the line here because obviously I'm talking about two tragedies. So like you said, this Tennessee shooting, that's going to disappear because it doesn't fit the narrative.
Correct.
And Trump's, whether it's through omission or just reporting wrong stuff, it's fake news. But now this thing that happened at the Mexican detention center down on the border.
What happened?
And well, there was a big fire and down there, one of the polling places, right? And it's awful. And may they all rest in peace. It's a terrible thing. However, like what his name, Emmanuel said, don't let any good Christ go to waste. They're going to leverage that because it's another victim group who died, and they're going to say, oh, it's Republican policy and all this crap. So that'll be on the news all day today.
Well, you know, there's a big story that happened yesterday. I have not mentioned it today at all because I've been waiting for developments, and there aren't going to be any. So now everyone knows that Rand Paul, there have been 2 attempts on Rand Paul's life. All right. He left the White House one day and was attacked with his wife by a mob of Antifa. That was the second time. There was a major attempt on his life when he was attacked by a Democrat neighbor who beat him, jumped Rand Paul while he was mowing his lawn. Imagine a U.S. Senator. I don't even mow my own lawn. I got a guy that does it, you know. He beat Rand Paul so bad, his lung collapsed. He almost died. And that guy, by the way, is walking free, attacked a sitting United States senator. A member of Rand Paul's staff was attacked yesterday. And there's very little story about it, but Rand Paul confirmed a member of his staff was brutally attacked on the streets of D.C. And what I've heard reported is that he was stabbed. And very little details. There's a complete cover-up on this. Rand Paul has had, this has got to be connected. Rand Paul has had 2 attempts on his life, big time, the 2 I mentioned. Now a staffer of his was almost murdered, and there's a media cover-up on it because he's a Republican and they don't like Rand Paul. It's, you know what they think in the media, Rand Paul and his staffer deserve it. They did it to themselves.
Yeah, it's disgusting, you know, and you see Paul Pelosi, that was nonstop on TV, and that was under bizarre circumstances. Even when they released the video, we all believe that to be bizarre. And that's, you know,
random, just happens to be the one sitting senator who's had 2 attempts on his life, and they're describing that an assault with a knife. I call that a stabbing, but they call it an assault with a knife. These people are sick. Well, they're Democrats. All right, Jim from New York, thanks for the Anne Marie's plug. By the way, Steve, it's Tuesday between 2 and 6. Kids eat free with the purchase of an entree by the parents. And I know you got one of your daughters is in from the UK. So you can take the grandkids over to Anne Marie's between 2 and 6. Kids eat free with the purchase of entrees by the parents. So it's a good way to save a little bit of money on dinner. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Tom, Florida.
Hey, Tom.
How are you guys this morning? Good. It's very unfortunate what happened in Nashville. The news has every right to carry it as much as possible because this is a problem that we keep going through. I mean, the leading cause of kids today isn't even cancer; it's gun violence.
That's not true. That's not true. Obviously, excuse me, Tom. Obviously you weren't listening earlier. The leading cause of death among children is not gun violence; it is car accidents. And gun deaths is 2, but no, slow down, Tom, slow down, yeah, well, and so did the world. Well, not slowed down enough. Here you are in the instrument of excuse me, I'm making a political, Well, yeah. Babies were murdered in Nashville, and the media are covering it up. So that upsets me. It does indeed. But here you are. Slow down, Tom. I'm going to finish my sentence. Here you are in the instrument of death that is the leading cause of death among children, and you're talking on a cell phone while driving? Doesn't that seem reckless to you?
I have such a bad connection.
Oh, how convenient. Okay, well, let me say it again. You are driving the instrument that is the number one cause of death among children, a car, and you are driving recklessly because you're talking to me on a cell phone while you're driving, and don't say you're not.
Here, a word, my phone is breaking.
Oh, I know. Just like your argument in your case and your logic and everything else. Even though he couldn't hear, he waited until I was completed to make his lying statement. Oh, my goodness. He just didn't have a comeback. I understand that was a very good angle I took there, and that would be difficult to come back from. I agree, but he decided to lie. He decided to lie. I can't hear it, but at least he didn't do the thing where he was talking like the connection break up, can't hear you. You didn't do that crap. That's right. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Lynn in Alabama.
Hey, Lynn.
I'm calling about the shooter and the transitioning from female to male, and if they were taking if she was taking testosterone and in large amounts, wouldn't that have something to do maybe with her shooting people? Women aren't supposed to take this.
Well, this is what I think. Okay. Now, again, I'm old fashioned. Okay. So what I say may be offensive to some and it may be out of date. I think people that go in, that walk around wearing clothes that are not their, like if right now, I'm here on the radio, you guys on the radio can't see me, but I'm wearing jeans, Vans, and a Hawaiian shirt, a Star Wars Hawaiian shirt. Okay. A man's outfit, but casual. If I were wearing a skirt and high heels and earrings, you would think I was nuts, wouldn't you? Wouldn't that be crazy? If I was sitting here in pumps and a mini skirt and a bra, yeah, okay. Yeah, you'd think I was nuts. And I'm of the opinion that those who walk into schools and murder children are nuts. And I don't think it's hormones or anything. I think you got a crazy person who's a sociopath and a psychopath and went in and committed multiple homicides because they're a nut. I also think there's a hate crime element because they're Christian. Yeah, so I think all those things are in play.
The reason I brought up the hormones goes back to when Chaz Ono was doing that reality show, and she just kept getting angrier and angrier the more the testosterone.
Oh, you mean like Fredo, Chris Cuomo, Fredo on CNN. Don Lemon used to talk about roid rage with Fredo. Hey, listen, I gotta run, but okay, we'll be right back.
The cold, hard truth. Delivered morning 6 to 9 right here on the Steve.
All right, now it's time for the most exciting part of the program. It's Gold Report time, and gold. This is the time. Let's check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. How the metals look today, William?
Metals look very good, very stable, and doing exactly what they should be doing, which is giving us the protection for our money in a world that has become, to use their common phrase you hear today, too big to fail. And with banks too big to fail, businesses too big to fail, that means USA Incorporated, the taxpayers are going to continue to bail out one right after another, and that means higher gold prices and higher inflation and higher taxes. So we have to protect ourselves, and the only thing we can use is our precious metals portfolio. So that's what we're recommending. If you haven't done anything yet, it's still a great time to get into these metals. Gold yesterday closed down $21.90, giving us that buying opportunity that we look for down at the bottom of the base, which has been about $1,950 for gold. $23 has become a good base for silver now. Yesterday down $21.90 on gold at $1,956.30. Silver lost 14 cents at $23.06. Platinum was down $7 at $976, and palladium closed up $5 at $13.62. This morning we see the gold coming back up $9.70 right now at $1,966 the ounce, realizing that we're only about $35, $40 away from the highs that we saw last week.
Wow.
But then not that big of a big pullback, but it's certainly an opportunity because we don't get these big pullbacks in this kind of a market. We'll have to take what we can get when we can get it. Silver up 4 cents this morning at $23.10. Platinum down $11 at $9.65, and palladium down $2 at $1,360. It's pretty much where we are so far.
Yeah, and I know you were talking. A lot of people are new that have never been in the metals. We've been talking about this the last couple of reports. People that have never purchased a metal before are now buying. Can we talk a little bit, William, about fractional gold? A lot of people that are new don't know about fractional gold.
Gold all the way down in the coin forms, down to 1/10 ounce size coins. In the bar form, we have 5-gram gold bars, beautiful packaged, authentic gold bars that you can purchase. So there's plenty of products that give you the ability to diversify and get into the precious metals without having to spend.
Yeah, you can get involved in gold and silver at pretty much any budget. And that's why I talk a lot about fractional gold. And the fractional gold coins, they come in 10th ounce, quarter ounce, half ounce. And they come in many different mints, right? The U.S. mint have the Eagles, the Australians, many of the national mints have the fractional coin. So, when you hear these prices going up and you say, well, I don't have enough for an ounce, that's okay. Go fractional. And gold is gold, man. And even the 1/10 ounce make those cool little sounds when you put the coins together. All right, William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. You can give him a call, toll free, 1-800-327-5010, 1-800-327-5010, online at williamyoungerman.com, or stop right in. He's located at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto. And remember, at William Youngerman's, the metals are available for immediate delivery. As you've been telling us, William Youngerman, demand is high, and a lot of dealers are running out of the metals, but not William Youngerman's. All right, we'll talk tomorrow.
Have a great day.
All right, back after this.
Take on the social justice warriors for breakfast. Now the Steve Kane Show is on the air.
All right, I'm Brian, Steve Kane here. This next call has got to be good, Steve, because the person has blocked their number from caller ID. They've gone out of the way to do it, so they're hiding their identity. They must be someone who they think we would not normally take. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Jay from Jersey.
Oh, I told you to be a good caller.
Yeah. Just a minute ago, you was talking about Rand Paul and the violence that they was that his person was going through. I forget exactly the whole thing. I was just curious how you felt about violence. Now,
I'm opposed to violence. I'm opposed to violence.
Okay, so you thought it was okay when Donald Trump held up the baseball bat next to that man?
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that. Oh, thank you. Oh, don't worry. We've got plenty. We're here till 9, and I'm going to do something better. Oh, I am answering the question, but as opposed to you pretending in the mirror before your call, the real Brian is going to have a different response than the one you fantasized when you were practicing in front of your mirror. I'm going to I'm waiting for you to stop talking so you can get the answer. You're talking now. Last night, President Trump gave an incredible interview to Sean Hannity. I doubt many people ask you about last night, if you get my drift on that. It's usually probably very forgettable. I can't answer it because you won't stop talking. He's trying to run out the clock. I am answering it. Okay. Now, President Trump explained the photograph on Hannity last night. So I'm going to play you what President Trump said about it. He gave a very detailed answer. Well, as a man who's opposed to violence, you should ask, not ax.
So question.
I am answering it.
Question. I asked you what you thought of it, not what.
Did he just call me a Jew? Did he just call me a Jew? Oh, it sounded like Jew.
I ain't said nothing.
Oh, you said you. Stop talking. Here's the answer right now.
Understand that when the story was put up, I put up a story. We didn't see pictures. We put up a story that was very exculpatory, very good story from the standpoint of what we're talking about. And they put up a picture of me. And you know where I was holding the baseball bat? It was at the White House. Make America, Buy America, because they did a lot of Buy America things. And this is a company that makes baseball bats. Then they put next to that picture a picture of Alvin Bragg. I didn't do it. They did it. I guess the people that do the paper or somebody put pictures together, but I was holding a baseball bat in order to promote Made in America. Was it on your post, the Truth Social? No. What they did is we posted the story, but they had a picture up, but they then put a picture up, or the picture was put up that nobody noticed or saw, or that nobody thought was bad. These were two separate pictures. I was promoting Made in America. You make these baseball bats instead of sending over to Japan and China and all other places where they're made. This was a company, good company, that makes baseball bats and other things like that in America. They took that picture from the White House and they put it up, and then they put a picture of Alvin Bragg up. I will say this with death.
Okay, you get that? So it was the news publication took a photo of President Trump and clipped it together with a photo of Bragg.
News Social.
And
And left it there.
No, he deleted the post.
No, he put it there.
No.
When people talked about it, then he might have dropped.
He posted a link to the news story.
But you didn't answer.
I did answer it. I gave you the answer from the president. Okay. I'll repeat what the president said in my own voice. Okay. All right. Take care. I knew that'd be a good call when he blocked his number, Steve. Didn't I tell you it's going to be a good call? He blocked his number because he doesn't want us to know that he's really not from New Jersey and what his real name is, but that's fine. Oh my goodness. All he did was post a news story. The news story put the picture together, and that was the best way to answer that question, was going to the primary source, the president himself. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I told you my phone cut out, and you think that I hung up because I was afraid.
Who is this? Oh, he's thought of an answer now. Is this Tom with the cell phone problem? All right. Now, a bad connection. Yeah. Oh, so now that you've had, okay, when I had you on the ropes, I was going in for the knockout. Now you've had 10 minutes. You've had 10 minutes. You had 10 minutes to think of an answer. Give me the answer now.
What you said, as I go.
If you couldn't hear, how did you know that If you couldn't hear, how'd you know that I said that you faked the... Oh my goodness. This is great. The answer is going to be good because having 10 minutes to think of an answer, I'm going to be blown away. So that's right. That's right. And I'm the other thing you really wanted to say too. Okay. I'm that too. You want me to answer you okay? You're driving. You don't sound like you're of sound mind and body. Here's the question. Oh, I know. Okay. The question that I asked that you pretended not to have heard was this. You are driving the number one instrument of death for young children, a car that you're driving recklessly while you're talking to me on a cell phone. Is that not a dangerous thing to do?
The wheel on my earpiece is, smart guy.
It took you 10 minutes to think of that? And this is what you came up with after 10 minutes of thought?
You asked the question, you got it. Hey, Brian.
After 10 minutes of thought, it's all he could think of.
Listen to me, you insignificant little man. Listen to me. All I'm saying is the problem with America and gun violence. Yes, we have a problem with guns. Absolutely, kids in cars is horrible as well. But when it is affecting the children of this country, the talk and the rhetoric needs to change and be brought to the table for a good discussion for all, not just for a couple of people and your questions.
All right, give us the solution. Give us the solution. Give us the solution.
Solution. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have one.
Oh, okay. Just like you don't have an answer to my questions. After 10 minutes of thought, that's what he came. He doesn't have a solution. But our solutions are wrong. You're on the... Good morning. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Turn down the radio, caller. Turn down the radio. We're on delay. Oh, my goodness. We were doing so well till I was bragging about the quality of the calls. You're on the air. Go ahead. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Yes, it's you.
Okay, Brian, I can't believe I called in right away, got on. IB in Broward. Remember my little spidey sense telling you that Jay from Jersey is out from Coral Springs? Well, that's why he's blocking the number. He's back in town in Mommy's house. Now, I've been listening to you for a long time. Trust my spidey senses, okay? He's annoying, but he's not supposed to call the show anymore.
Well, I don't think that's Al from Coral Springs. I just don't think that's Al from Coral Springs. And Al from Coral Springs is not banned. He did what did he do? I don't remember banning him.
I don't really want to hear from Louisiana or Wheezy again, but if you let him continue.
Oh shit, Louisiana, Wheezy was banned. Wheezy did something was way over the line.
I know her and Louisiana. What I'm saying is I don't want to hear from both of them. They make me turn the radio off. But if you let Jay continue to call in, he's a liar saying he won't call in, but yet he's disguising himself, saying he's Jay from Jersey when he's really out from Cold Spring, then I think you should let the others back on. That's only fair?
No, Louisiana and Wheezy, I can't tell you what they did. Okay. They went over the line to what you can say publicly. Al from Coral Springs, I don't remember what he did. Al from Coral Springs is not banned.
I'm listening to you for a long time. Just very annoying. And just listen to you taught me one thing. Rush said it first, but you said it secondarily. Arrested development. Okay, explain that later another day.
No. Let me tell you about the callers, okay? The liberal jerks, okay? The liberal callers are awesome. You know, if you listen to the liberal callers, and Steve, we make our points through them. Why do you think that one guy that I just talked to is hysterical, like a woman it's her time of the month? You know, so we're not going to ban liberal callers just because you've listened to the show for a long time.
I'm not saying ban them. What I'm saying is you should let the other two back on that you back.
We can't. No, they did things that you can't do. They can't come back on. And I miss Wheezy. Was great. I love Wheezy's calls. Hey guys, thanks everyone for tuning in today. We'll be back tomorrow. Great show, great calls, great content. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. I didn't even get to half of my show prep today, but that's okay. We'll be back tomorrow. And if you missed a portion of the show, go to our radio station website, trueoldiesfla.com. And the whole show was uploaded about an hour after we go off the air on the podcast page. And they're archived up there forever, so you can check it out there. God bless America. And, of course, God bless Donald Trump. See you tomorrow.
WWNN Pompano Beach, WIRP HD3 Indiantown. Programming paid for by Thick and Ellis Media Group. Broadcasting from the Rome Studio. Injured recently, call the Rose.
All right, guys. I got to run. Make sure you subscribe and like the video before you go. And look out for a new podcast later. All right.